Hey guys, this is the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for December 19, 2024. We're going to be doing our Week 16 Fantasy Football Rundown show. So if you have any questions, just leave them here. We'll try to answer all of them. And before we intro everything, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As you can see, I'm wearing a green Walter Football t-shirt, and keen observers of this channel may remember that I'm wearing the same shirt from yesterday, and that's how we roll around here. I think I'm on like a 7-week streak of wearing the same shirt on Tuesday and Wednesday for Kenny here. So I'm not dressing up for Kenny. I'm sorry, Kenny.
Can't believe it.
Speaking of the merch store, you can get merch here at the WalterFootball.com merch store. We have Make Garbage Great Again here. I'm sad to say they deleted the squirrel shirts and the Pardon Me shirt. So I'm gonna have to bring them back as I always do.
Pardon Me shirt was no.
I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna try to order it as soon as I do. As soon as they bring it back, or as soon as it's revealed again, because I was going to order it. I just looked tonight and it's gone. They deleted the squirrel ones first, and they left the Part of Me shirt there, and now it's gone. So I don't know why they have issues with these things, and they don't have an issue with Biden pooped his pants over here, but I don't, I really don't know. And like the apron's still up, so I'm kind of confused. Anyway, you get a 24% off discount. So within 48 hours, those shirts should be back. So try to order them if you want them around that time. So you can do that. You can go to Amazon, buy my book, Jerks to the College Years. That's my most recent book where I made fun of people I saw at Penn State. I was there for 6 years, and so I had a lot of writing material. Also, how the 2020 MVP was stolen, which was an expose about how Brett Favre tried to sabotage Aaron Rodgers. So you guys might be interested in that. Or consider super chats, super stickers. That is the best way to support the show, because these YouTube ads pay nothing. So Slew helped us out yesterday. More recently, a little bit more recent than that. And then before that was Joe for Show, John Sanders, Can't Make an Eagle, and then Jesse Cintron. And you guys have been so awesome with your contributions. Like, I can't say that enough. So just please consider supporting us even further, just because that keeps the show going. It's the best way to do that. So I am joined by Kenny, thecapisfake.com. Kenny, how's it going? How's your week 15?
Overall pretty good. Lots of fun stuff happening. I did win in our league, so I am on to the semifinals. So
Congrats.
Thank you. So if I win this game, I'll go on to my 8th title appearance in 18 seasons. So I've been in 7 before. I'm 3-4 in title games in this league all time. So that's not so great, but that's I do have a good track record being in the 3 seeds. So I've gone on the 3 seed, gone on to the title game multiple times. So let's see. That'll be good. We'll see. And then, excuse me. And then I'm also in a semifinal for my other league as well, but no one cares about that league because you're not in it. So.
Yeah, you will be playing a Jew who was on our show when we did the live draft. Both you and him were on the live show together, so it's kind of square out there. I'm looking forward to that. So I wish I was there with you guys. Although I'm the number 2 seed in one of my other leagues. So it's actually, we only have four teams in the playoffs. So our playoffs actually start this week. We didn't have a first round. So only 4 seeds, which I don't know. I kind of could get behind. All right, pick 2, Ladd, McConkey, Sutton, Addison, full PPR. Those are some good ones. What do you think? I feel like I would go Ladd and Sutton. Addison's been hot lately, but I think Seattle's going to be a tough matchup. It's going to be in the rain, too, so you got to worry about that. So I'd go with the first 2. What do you think?
It's just hard to sit Addison, man, even no matter what the situation is. The passing game has been on fire. Addison's been good. He didn't score this past week, right? I don't think. It's hard to sit Addison, man. I don't know. I think I go Ladd and Addison.
Okay, I like that.
Full PPR. I don't know.
I like that Ladd and Sutton are playing in dome conditions, whereas Addison's going to be in the rain in Seattle, so you have to worry about that. But if there were perfect conditions, I could definitely get behind Addison as well. All right, so we can start, reviewing last week's games, and as the questions come in, we'll answer them. Going back to last Thursday, we had Rams 12, 49ers 6, a very exciting game here. Actually, it was like super fast game. It was like less than 3 hours. Brock Purdy was 14 of 31, really struggled, but he didn't get any help from his receivers. Juwan Jennings was very inefficient. Deebo Samuel dropped a touchdown. On the other side, Puka Nacua was awesome again. And then Cooper Kupp got nothing. He saw 3 targets, 0 catches.
Yeah.
Huge disappointment for Cooper Kupp. And then a huge disappointment for a lot of my best ball teams, which had Cooper Kupp. Although I did advance 6 to the semifinals, so hopefully that one of them gets through. Kyron Williams, a solid game, 29 for 108. What are your thoughts on this game, which was in the pouring rain for most of the evening?
I was falling asleep watching this game, and so if that tells you what I think. There's really not. I don't think there's any lessons learned necessarily here, per se, other than maybe just a reminder. Like Puka really is he's awesome, and I think this summer, we were talking about questions going into the season I wasn't sure about, and one of the questions I was like, are we sure that Puka really is the number one target on that team? Like everyone else seemed convinced, I was not. Yeah, he has proven to me that he clearly is the guy, and I mean, he's probably a first-round pick in most fantasy formats next year, right? Or probably you'd be thinking at least like a late first round is my thought. Deebo Samuel, after complaining multiple times over the last few weeks, he drops just would have been an easy touchdown, right? It would have been or an easy, completion. What a bum, Deebo. Just like one of my least favorite players, like in terms of like personality. And so when he loses, it just makes me feel good.
Yeah, he hasn't been the same since he got pneumonia in the middle of the season. So you have to think that's affecting him. But I feel like he's going to be better next year. I think this was just a down year for him. He dealt with a lot of injuries, although that tends to happen a lot too. So maybe you should expect that again. By the way, in best ball for this week, Puka Nacua is drafted at 108. So yeah, you're right about the first round there. So
obviously we'll see what the offseason brings, but also Brock Purdy. I've had Brock Purdy on our fantasy league in our league, and been starting him most weeks. I can't. I picked up Aaron Rodgers at the waiver wire. I barely survived this week in the first round of the playoffs, and now here I am in the semifinal. I don't trust him, and so I don't think there's a single player on the 49ers right now that I trust. Everyone's got a low floor. That includes Juwan Jennings and whoever the running back is. There's a low floor on this team, and anyone who has 49ers players going into a semifinal, like, who do you really trust on this team that for sure is not going to have a goose egg?
I think Kittle's the only one I trust.
I forgot about. Get right, Kittle.
Yeah,
you're right. Kittle's the one.
Good matchup for Kittle this week against Miami. Although if you're looking ahead to Week 17, Detroit is usually pretty good against tight ends. So I would still play him. Like he's that good that he can overcome any matchup. But just be aware. Like if you somehow have like Kittle and another comparable tight end, I don't know how that's possible. But if that is possible, then you might want to start the other tight end. But I would still go with Kittle for against most options. Kenny should pick up Dorian Thompson-Robinson or Tim Boyle. What do you think about those? We had a bunch of guys get benched this week. Well, and we'll get into them later.
I would rather I'd rather drink Diet Pepsi. For those of you who know, I am a Coke fan. Diet Coke, the drink of champions, right here. Nutritious, lovely, wonderful. The only I put drinking Diet Pepsi on the same par as playing PPR. It's for children.
Well, you got to get that aspartame in you. I mean, DraftKings is PPR. I feel like I remind you this every week. Like you have to have PPR in mind if you do DraftKings tournaments.
And that's why I hate DraftKings. I think it's annoying. They should not be PPR. It's dumb. They should have standard options.
Would you prefer half PPR or just zero PPR?
No, it's zero PPR.
PPR. Yeah, I don't know what.
I don't mind bonuses for catches. I in my other league we do. It's you get the receiver gets bonus points every 5 catches. He gets 2 points. So it's like it's like kind of like half point PPR, but I just like the guy who catches 3 balls for 16 yards, he gets 3 points. That's so dumb. Like it's lame.
You don't think 6 catcher for 0 yards should be worth a touchdown?
No, I don't.
Yeah, see, it's a little silly. I don't know why like PPR became like such a standard. Like no one does standard anymore because like you have DraftKings is PPR, FanDuel's half PPR. I think Underdog is half PPR if I'm not mistaken. Like it's there's like no non PPR at all like anymore. Actually, our fantasy league is like the only non PPR thing that I do. Everything else is some sort of PPR. One of my leagues is actually you get points per carry as well, which is
that's terrible.
I know. I don't like that at all. Although I do like the rule that they have in the league. They combine the defense and the kicker. So you have, for example, if you have the Eagles defense, you also get Jake Elliott's points. Which I think is
fun. It's fine. Yeah, and I don't know that I love that. My other league, we don't use kickers,
which is a mistake because you want the dumb people to draft the kickers.
It's they don't. It's a 13-team league with a bunch of savvy guys. So
13-team league? Do you like someone as a bye every week?
You play the league average.
Oh, okay. I get it. All right. People like PPR because they like seeing big numbers in their stat line, says Cassandra. That's probably true. All right. Let's get to the next game. We had Redskins 20, Saints 19. This was brutal, absolutely brutal, because not only did I have Redskins minus 7.5 in the super contest, and also for a $400 bet in real life, I also had the teaser. I teased the Redskins down to minus 1.5, and I hit the other leg with Buffalo plus 8.5. So I was thinking the whole time, I was like, oh yeah, look, we'll win this bet, and I got the teaser as well. And then slowly but surely, the Saints came back. The Redskins made so many dumb penalties, like it was ridiculous. It felt like every time they got off the field in third down, it was illegal hands to the face or roughing the passer, something to keep drives alive for the Saints. Just so brutal. And then the Redskins, they miss a field goal. They have Daniels misses McLaurin for a touchdown. McLaurin drops a touchdown. Felt like they could have covered this game in a million ways. And like, if that wasn't enough, in the final play, the NFL came out and admitted that the final play for the Saints shouldn't have happened because they stopped the clock for some reason. They stopped it for like 3 seconds, and so the Saints should have never had the touchdown at the end. So yeah, the Redskins wouldn't have covered the spread, but I would at least got the teaser correct. So this is such a brutal way to lose. Otherwise, it would have been 4-1 in the super contest, and like the other game I should have won as well, and I get to that later. But anyway, Spencer Rattler finishing the game. As Quacky would say, he slithered his way onto the field and got a cover. But he did not complete half of his passes. He did make some big plays. I'd credit him for that, but I don't think he's very good. I wouldn't be very bullish on him. Now he's better than Jake Haener. I think we know that, but still, it's not like it's a pretty low bar. So it's whatever. Alvin Kamara got hurt here. He hurt his groin, so he may miss next week's game. And I don't think there's anything else to say about the Saints. I guess like Kendra Miller, obviously you want him if you had Kamara. As far as the Redskins is concerned, you had McLaurin had 2 touchdowns. Just another big game for him. Like he's caught a lot of touchdowns this year. It used to be like McLaurin. The thing about him used to be like he can't catch any touchdowns, and now all he does is catch touchdowns. But he had a 7 for 73 line as well, so it was pretty good. Brian Robinson Jr. was a big disappointment. 21 carries for only 65 yards, but he did have to recover 3 catches for those who like PPR. So, what are your thoughts on this game?
You can say he's a big disappointment, maybe numbers wise. He actually looked good in the game, though. Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I'm talking about this fantasy stat wise.
Yeah, but he looked good. He ran hard. The Saints were putting. They were really close to the ball. They basically were selling out to stop the run, and they were just daring Jaden Daniels to beat them, which I don't think is a great strategy because Jaden Daniels is a good player. I thought it was an odd strategy. Now, obviously, it turned out almost worked. I mean, they came, pretty close to winning the game, even though they, as you said, that last play shouldn't have happened. Terry McLaurin could have easily had 5 touchdowns in this game, like literally. You mentioned that the drops passes. Jaden Daniels does look healthy again. For a couple weeks there because of the ribs, it looked like he's throwing the ball well again. But he made some rookie mistakes in this game. And it looked like the Saints were willing to just like live and die with hey, we're gonna stop the run, we're gonna stop short passes, we're gonna force you to throw the ball down the field. And it almost worked, So I guess give credit to the Saints. It wouldn't be the strategy I would deploy against Jada Daniels. But yeah, against the Eagles this week though, it's gonna, if you got other options, I'm not sure, Terry McLaurin, you're gonna start no matter what. But the Eagles defense has been great and at shutting scoring out, and so I'd be curious what's going to happen there. On the Saints side of things, oh yikes, man! I'm a Kamara owner in our league. Heck of a catch. He gets injured. He's out. Kendry Miller. If you could pick up Kendry Miller, I mean, obviously waivers have already passed in most leagues. I was able to pick him up in our league, but it's Monday night, so do I wait? In our league, I've got Mixon, Chase Brown, and Jahmyr Gibbs on Sunday. Do I sit Mixon and wait for Kamara or Kendry Miller on Monday night? Like, it just feels risky. So I'm going to bench Kamara, I guess. I mean, it just hurts to not have him in the lineup. But so anyway, I would imagine most people don't have the options I have though. So I have 7 running backs on my roster right now. I have a 16-man roster. I have 7 running backs because I'm just playing keep away. So I've got all these backup running backs, and I don't want anyone having. Meanwhile, I'm struggling to figure out who my third receiver is going to be this week. So
that's been an issue for you all year, though. That hasn't mattered.
I haven't had a third receiver. I've been rifling through guys every week. It's been crazy. Although I've had some guys on my roster at some points that are actually good now. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Lad McConkey. So these are all guys that I either had or could have had easily off the waiver wire at some point. Anyway, yeah. So if you're a Saints owner of any Saints players, like the problem is you got to wait Monday night. You don't know what's going to happen. Like I think none of these guys are startable right now. The quarterback position is a disaster for them. MVS had another 60 yards, but like it's just so fluky. I it's not trust. Like there's no one on this team that I want to wait for Monday night game for. So it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think I like Kendry Miller too. I don't think he's a terrible player, but yeah, I think unfortunately, if you got any of these guys, they're not worth starting.
Yeah, like it's a 14-point underdog against a good defense. So, and even if they announce Kamara as the starter, are like with a groin injury, are you confident that he's going to last the whole game? Like, I don't think you can play him. I think
if you're the Saints, why do you play him? Right? Like, why do you like?
Right. There's no purpose for it.
Why risk the further injury to him?
Right. So who do you have Gibbs, Mixon, and who else?
Chase Brown.
And Chase Brown. Yeah, I mean you don't have to wait. Like you're in a great situation there. If you have Kamara versus I don't even know who would be comparable to that? Like Jerome Ford or something? Like if you have Jerome Ford, you wait for Kamara. I actually don't think so. Just because, like I said, I don't trust him to play the full game, even if he does. It's not like the Saints are chasing a playoff spot. Like they're done. Like why would they like put him out there for no reason? It just seems stupid for them to do that. But stupid teams.
The only exception would be the only exception is if Mixon gets ruled out on ahead of the Saturday game. Then that puts me in a bind.
Right. And hopefully if you have Kamara, you were able to pick up Kendry Miller, and then that decision becomes easier for you because you can wait and start Miller if Kamara's out. John asking Jaden Daniels or Aaron Rodgers in PPR. So if their pass is batted down, they catch the pass, which feels like Rodgers has done that quite a bit. So maybe that's an edge here, the secret edge. What do you think about this question from John?
My knee-jerk reaction is to say Daniels against Rodgers in any scenario. But then remembering that Jaden Daniels is playing the Eagles, I think I'd still go Daniels.
Yeah, it's pretty close. For me, I have Aaron. Okay, what'd you say?
I mean, the Rams defense. There we go. Sorry.
So I have Jaden Daniels at 15 points. I have Rodgers at 15 points. I have Daniels at 20 points. So a word about the Eagles. Like, think about it this way. Last time he played the Eagles, he really struggled. But then in the final few minutes, he scored a touchdown. He had a touchdown drive. Like, I feel like he could get some garbage time points here against the
Yeah.
Eagles if you need it. So just remember that's possible. Nick VTT says the consensus seems to face Tracy this week. Would I be better off starting Odunze, McMillan, Downs, or Waddle, or do I let it ride with Tracy? Well, Waddle got hurt last week, so I don't know what his status is. It's hard to say with him. Downs is kind of constricted with Anthony Richardson, who's just awful. I think McMillan. I feel like if that's bound to regress to the mean, and Odunze is so inconsistent. Plus, the Bears don't have an offensive coordinator. I don't think the Tracy matchup is that bad. Like Atlanta is, an 8.5 point favorite, but Atlanta is not a good defense. So I don't mind Tracy there. As far as like those 5 options in PPR, I don't know. I think I would consider down, even though like Richardson sucks. I think I would consider Downs, but it's pretty close. I would consider Odunze as well. And then I'd look for Waddle status. What do you think about this?
I go with Tracy here.
Okay.
To me, all these guys have like downside of like floors, and so I'll take my chance with the running back. I think Tracy's a low end wide receiver or low end RB2, kind of high end flex type, and so I think all these guys Dunze could be a goose egg. Downs could be a goose egg. Waddle could not play or be limited. All of these guys have downsides that make me go yuck. McMillan is actually, of the receivers you're mentioning here, though, McMillan's the one I probably like the most. My receivers in our league, I've mentioned, my third receiver spot. I got Keenan Allen, MVS, and McMillan are my three guys. So I actually like McMillan, but I think I would go Tracy here. It's close.
In my rankings, I have Downs and Waddle tied for 11. I have McMillan at 10. I have Odunze and Tracy at 9. This is in PPR. So they're all super close with each other.
You only have Tracy projected for 9 points in PPR, really?
Yeah. I might.
It seems low.
It might be low. Yeah, I might upgrade him by a point or two. They are a big underdog. Although I do think they can compete. We saw Singletary take carries at the goal line. That's an issue there. But like I said, they're all super close. Flex 1, Pacheco, Hopkins, McMillan, QJ. I think Pacheco bounces back this week. I'm playing him on DraftKings. He's done nothing since coming back, but he's bound to rebound. And this is a really good matchup against Houston. What do you think?
Pacheco, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get to the next game, which was we have Texans 20, Dolphins 12. Tua was terrible in this game. The 29-40 is not bad, but like it was all short passes. He threw 3 interceptions. Now he didn't have either tackle. Teron Armstead was out, which is huge. Like Armstead, one of the better tackles in the NFL. He was not there, and then they were also missing Kendall Lamb, the right tackle. So he had no time in the pocket, which would explain all the short passes. Waddle going down hurt as well. So Miami's offense was just like not functional here. Houston, like they started hot and then they just didn't do anything. We had Stroud hitting Collins for a touchdown. Collins eventually scored again. But like Houston just didn't do anything and just waited for Tua to screw up in the second half. Joe Mixon only 12 for 23, just a tough matchup there. But he did catch 5 passes for 33 receiving yards. So he's kind of like, his floor is super high because he can catch 4 or 5 passes every game. So just shows how good he is. But Stroud's struggles just continue. He's like hasn't been the same this year. So any thoughts on this game?
I get a chance to watch this whole game, so I just kind of watch bits and pieces of it here. I was mostly watching for Mixon because I own him in both leagues. So it's funny, both of my main leagues here, my rosters are eerily similar because I was just higher on guys than kind of the market was, so I ended up with a bunch of similar guys. But Mixon, he didn't look right even before they even like officially announced he was injured. Like he just didn't quite seem right. So Tua was awful in this game. Not just, you said he was not good. He was awful. I think this is the worst game he's had since he came back in terms of just accuracy. He missed some wide open throws or just good throws that even a struggling Tua typically would make. So, I don't know what to make of this team. I don't trust any of these options. I don't trust any of the running backs. I'm not sure I trust anyone on in the passing game. What was Tyreek? So I'm trying to pull out what was Tyreek's final stats in this game here.
He was 2 catches, 36 yards, and 7 targets.
You're just like, I mean, that's terrible. So if you're an owner of any Dolphins players, like, I'm not sure. If I have other options, I want to look elsewhere. With all these guys.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. So yeah, all those. Remember, I always asked you, like, where would you draft Tyreek Hill in best ball, and like I think you would always said like 4th or 5th round. Now I did get him in the 3rd round of some leagues, and in weeks 13 and 14 worked out. Like he was on a hot streak, but then in this game he just did nothing, and I think that was a byproduct of the tackles being out. So Tua just didn't have any time in the pocket, so he just had to release quick passes for the most part, like even quicker than usual. John Sanders, what'd you say?
Oh, go, John. Just give it up, John. Well done.
Thank you, John Sanders, for the 411 super chat. Really appreciate it. Says need to start 4 of 6 PPR flex. Kupp, McLaurin, London, Pickens, Garendo, Robinson Jr. Obviously, you're waiting on the Pickens news. If he plays, he's definitely in. But if he's out, then obviously this becomes easier 4 or 5. I worry about Garendo. I just point out Joe Mixon's stat line, 12 for 23 against Miami. Miami's run defense is really good. So I think I would say Garendo of all those guys. But if Pickens doesn't play, if Pickens plays, then obviously you send Garendo and then someone else. For me, I think it'd be Robinson Jr. against the Eagles. Eagles' run defense is incredible. So I would start the first 4. What do you think?
I think I probably agree with you. Yeah, gosh. London's not been good. And who knows what's going to happen with Michael Penix. It's like that could be a goose egg. I mean, he was terrible last week. It wasn't terrible. It was disappointing. Cooper Kupp, obviously coming off of a goose egg game. I mean, you don't expect that to happen again, but I mean, the thing with Kupp is that they're not even trying to get, like, they're not even strategizing to get him, like, they're clearly not forcing the ball his way the way they are with Puka and with Kyrie Williams. They're not designing anything to Kupp. It's just if he's open, then we'll throw it his way, which only happened 3 times the other night. So I'm nervous about Kupp now as well. The guys that are definite for me, obviously McLaurin's a definite. If Pickens plays, is a definite. I guess you have to play London. There's not much you can do about it. I mean, Garendo is the one I think is the obvious no to me because I just don't trust anyone on the Niners offense right now. To me, of course, now that I say that, he'll have 80 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think Garendo's the obvious one out. Pickens is obviously out if he doesn't play, obviously, and if he does. I think you could flip a coin, but I think you're probably right, Brian Robinson. But man, there's a part of me that's nervous about Kupp as well.
Yeah. Although you say London has been bad, I think it's Cousins who's been bad. I wonder if Penix is going to kind of unlock London just because like Cousins has been so brutal, struggles to complete basic passes. Even like handoffs are tough for him. Like he can't move around off that Achilles. Like he's just not healthy. Like they should have benched him long ago. Like it's ridiculous. So I don't know. Who knows? Yeah, you could be right. London could have a goose egg. But I find it hard to believe that Penix is going to be worse than what we've seen from Cousins. And so, like maybe London finally has a good game here. And so I'm taking a shot on him in DraftKings this week in one of my spy lineups because Michael Penix Jr. is $4,500 on DraftKings as quarterback. So I can get to my running backs. By the way, I'm paying up for Jahmyr Gibbs, who's $7,500. I'm paying up for James Conner, who's $7,100. And I'm paying up for Saquon Barkley, who's $8,300.
We talked about this a couple weeks ago. The allure of being able to get to the higher place. It's why I had Tommy DeVito in a lineup not too long ago.
Yeah,
forgot to say I shouldn't admit
that. Well, you did that mentally. You didn't actually do that. Exactly. No. Our guy last week was Stone Smart. He had like 5 catches for 50 yards or something. He had like 10. The problem was I picked the wrong low end tight end because Brenton Strange had 11 catches. So I was kind of boxed out there, but like it was the right idea. And I did cash that lineup. So actually got I actually had a chance to win because that lineup that had Stone Smart, I had Josh Allen, I had Amon-Ra St. Brown, I had a bunch of other guys who scored highly. So like I thought I had a chance to win the whole thing for a while. But like I needed St. Brown to score another touchdown. I needed a couple other things to happen. But I finished, I think, in the top 100, I think, in the SPY. So did pretty well. So not like disappointed. But like I think if I went with Brenton Strange over Smart, I think it may have won the whole thing. But like it's like you never know. So thanks. I have a feeling Shanahan will make a priority to get it to Cup since they lost last week. Oh, McVay, yeah, you mean McVay. Yeah. So I do think Cup is going to rebound off the goose egg as well. Plus, it might be an easier matchup because the Jets slot corner might be out. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name. The slot corner for the Jets. Michael Carter. So yeah, it sounds like he might be out. So, all right, let's get to the next game. Speaking of Jets, Jets 32, Jaguars 25. Let's get to our guy Brenton Strange here. 11 catches, 73 receiving yards, 18.3 DK points. Imagine if he scored a touchdown, he would have completely broken the slate. So it's like it's just him and Brian Thomas Jr. He's the only two guys. And Strange is like he has an athletic profile. Always had upside. I remember him coming out of college, thought like he was a raw product that could turn into something someday. And here he is, he's producing. It's only one game, but the Jaguars are playing the Raiders this week, and the Raiders suck against tight ends. So it could be another Brenton Strange week. I'm using him in my DraftKings lineup. He's only 3,500, so I'm playing Penix and Strange, and that's how I'm able to get to those 3 stud running backs. I was very disappointed, or I guess surprised. Because the only player prop we lost all week, except for the first game, Thursday game, and the last game, the Raiders game, was Travis Etienne. I thought he'd go under rushing yards. He went 14 for 65. I don't know why he had more carries than Tank Bigsby. It's like he only had 4 carries the week before. Just feels like Doug Peterson kind of like forgets who sucks on his team and just goes back to the bad players. I don't really understand like Doug Peterson at all. On the Jets side, Rodgers had a rough first half. I think he only like 3 completions in the first half, but he caught fire in the second half. Devontae Adams was awesome. Garrett Wilson, solid too, but Adams 9 for 198 and 2 touchdowns was insane. Just took them a while to get going. Breece Hall scored a touchdown, otherwise did nothing, just wasn't 100%. And Braylon Allen left early with an injury. So any thoughts on this game?
Yeah. The New York Jets are totally dysfunctional. And I mean, Devontae Adams doesn't have a catch in the first half and then totally goes off in the second half. Aaron Rodgers looked like Anthony Richardson in the first half and then looked like a Hall of Famer in the second half. I mean, just there's no sort of play calling rhythm. This team is so broken. It's so weird. But all that to say, I'm probably going to be starting Aaron Rodgers in the fantasy league, at least one league this weekend. Against the Jaguars, against the Rams. So yeah, I think that'll be craziness. Strange. The thing is, like he looks athletic. He had 12 targets in this game, but he's only had a couple. He had one other game earlier this year with 7 targets, one other game with 4 targets, but like other than that, it's been like 0 or 1 targets.
Evan Ingram's been playing. Like he just hasn't had a chance, and Ingram's out now.
Yeah. Like Evan Ingram sucks, so you couldn't supplant him. Like
they're paying him a lot of money. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think Evan Ingram sucks. Well, we've always disagreed on that. I think Ingram's solid.
He's terrible. Terrible. I don't know what you see in him. Yeah, I don't know. I think in a DFS lineup, 3,500 in DraftKings, I think it's excellent. And you're right because it allows you to get to other things, so it's worth it. But in a traditional league, I don't know that I want to start Strange unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah, you should have better options for sure. By the way, Evan Ingram was 4th in catches in 2023. I don't know if he sucks. You can say he's overrated. I won't say he sucks though.
Oh, he sucks.
All right, fair enough.
There are certain foods that everyone pretends to like. Everyone pretends to like IPAs. Everyone pretends to like yellow mustard. Everyone pretends to like pickles. All those things are disgusting.
Wait.
Evan Ingram is the pickles and IPAs of football.
Hold on. Okay, IPAs, I understand. Yellow mustard. I hate mustard. I despise all sorts of mustard. Any sort of
Everyone
mustard.
hates mustard. They just pretend to like it. Everyone
I
knows
don't.
it's disgusting.
Yes. I would say the same thing about mayo too.
Whoa. Mayo's great. What are you talking
Look,
about?
the mayo's gross. Like why would you make your sandwich wet like that? Just eat the meat and the cheese. Like don't put mayo on it. It's gross. Um, pickles though, pickles? Are you kidding me?
These are disgusting. They taste
Pickles
like
are amazing. What are you talking
like
about?
they taste the way they taste like stinky feet. Okay.
Dude, I will sometimes like late at night if I'm hungry because my schedule is so weird because if you're a normal human being, you have dinner at 6 and you probably go to bed at like what 10 or 11. So you have like 5 hours after dinner. I eat dinner with my family at 6, but I don't go to bed until 6 a.m. So like if you think about it, if you go to bed at like 10 or 11, you're imagine eating dinner at 10 a.m. and like not eating until then, like a meal, like a full meal. So I sometimes get hungry at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And I'll go to my fridge and sometimes I'll open the pickle jar and just get a bunch of pickles and eat them. Like that's that's so I don't. There's no pretending there. I love pickles. In fact, one of my friends, I posted links on the site. He's known as the pickle guy. He sells pickles here in the area. He has these Thai spice pickles. He actually went to Thailand. I think I told you about him before. Off camera. He went to Thailand with his girlfriend. She's from Thailand. But he actually got Thai peppers from on his trip there, and he made like Thai pepper pickles, and they're so good. Like they're so spicy. It's, like it burns your mouth.
This is
But
why
they're so good though. Like they taste so good.
I get it. I get why you like Evan Ingram now. I get it. I get it. I understand. You're willing to accept things that are disgustingly subpar and pretend that they're fine. I get it. It makes little sense.
So asking what's wrong with IPAs? Please expound. Well, you brought it up.
They're gross. We know they're gross. They taste bad. That's wrong with them.
See, I'm not a beer guy anyway. I don't like the taste of beer. I'll drink beer. It's fine. I just don't like the taste of beer. I'm a liquor guy. I like vodka, gin especially, rum. Like I'll drink that forever. But like I just never got like beer never tastes great to me. I don't know. But
no, I love beer. I'm a beer fan. I got like IPAs are just so overrated. All these guys with their flannel and their metrosexual beards. Oh, look at me and my IPA.
I do know the certain person. There's a guy I used to be friends with. Like he's like, oh, I've tried so many IPAs, but like what you described is exactly what it looks like. It's so funny. What are your thoughts on olives? I'm not a fan. My wife loves olives. My son loves olives.
Gross.
I don't like. We finally agree on something.
Yeah, my wife loves olives too. I love the gross.
Has Kenny eaten borscht?
No, I have no clue. It sounds gross.
You don't know what borscht is? None of my co-hosts know what borscht is. What is going on here?
I gotta Google this. I don't even know what this is.
Tom doesn't know what borscht is. You don't know what borscht is, dude. What is going on here? I feel insulted as a Russian here.
Wait a minute. Is it made with beets?
It's like beet soup, basically.
Beets are at the top of the list of disgusting foods. Oh god.
I hate beets. But borscht, you don't really taste the beets though. It's a lot of like vegetables in there. It's like it's vegetable soup. It just looks red from the beets, but like you don't really taste the beets though. There's a lot like chicken in there too. It's great if it's made well. It's great. But it can be made poorly too.
By the way, there is a lot of research around beets being helpful and useful for the male anatomy.
Well, okay.
For the male libido, apparently.
Well, that would explain.
Beets. It's gross.
That would explain, but the terabyte on my hard drive. I hate having to pretend to like cauliflower pizza at parties. Well, man. He's joking.
World.
I know he's joking probably, but yeah. I'd be like, I like on the off chance, like the 1% chance this is serious. It's like, can you imagine like so like people in your office like, oh, this cauliflower pizza is so great, and you're like, oh yeah, I like it too. Like what kind of office is that?
We are like way off the rails right now.
Well, look. I mean, look. I'm used to this on Saturdays. We go nuts with Tom. We had a 3.5 hour show because like we got so sidetracked. But we'll try not to do that here. Bengals 37, Titans 27. It looked for a while the Titans were going to pull this off. Like they got up to a 7-0 lead. They're up 14-7, and then Will Levis imploded. He had 3 interceptions. There was like one play where like he just almost handed the ball off to the Bengal player. He's been benched for Mason Rudolph, who, you know, he had a great stat line here, 21-26, 209, 2-1, but that's garbage time. So I wouldn't expect much from him going forward. He's just not a good quarterback, but at least he's not going to just give the ball away with ease. Like he's going to have some bad plays, but I think Will Levis has a higher ceiling, but like a much lower floor too. So like Rudolph is kind of like in the middle. And then as John pointed out yesterday, there's no way you can bet against Rudolph with Christmas coming up. So maybe the Titans go in a game. Pollard, 17 for 45 and a touchdown. So the touchdown saved him, but he didn't do much otherwise. And I think it was because the injury just wasn't 100%. Spears did most of the work. So I guess like just watch out for Pollard's injury status. And I don't think there's much to say about the Bengals. We knew that Burrow, Chase, Higgins, and Brown are all great. They all produced at a high level. So this is more of a Higgins week than a Chase week. Whereas against Dallas is reversal. So I feel like this week is gonna be more Chase, considering that Cleveland's like pretty bad against the deep pass. But I guess it could still go either way. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean Pollard looked okay, but then you know just running plays was not productive. It looked more like to me the offensive line, and then maybe later in the game it was the injury. But then Spears looked fine, so he was able to be more productive. If Pollard is playing, who do they play this week? Hold on, they play
the Colts.
Yeah,
it's a bad run defense.
Yeah, man. I was gonna say don't play either one of these guys, but you want if Spears is in if Pollard is out, man, Spears could be a real sneaky play here. I really like Tajay Spears and really kind of disappointed that they didn't use him at all this year much. Other than that, man, the Tennessee team, that team is bad. You know, I was listening to some of the talking heads this week, and a couple days ago, somebody talked about I can't remember which of the talking heads on the 4-letter network said, I think it might have been Keyshawn Johnson because he's brilliant. I think he said something like they need to, you know, like something. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. Like they need, you know, like he's like as they go in the next year to build around Will Levis. Like I thought, I mean, like they're gonna build around Will Levis. Like he seemed to be convinced like he's the quarterback. Like and like they just need to build around him better. I'm like, am I missing something? Like. I think this team's going to try to replace him if they can. They may not be able to, but I don't think the priority of the Tennessee front office is to build around Will Levis at this point. So, anyway, Cincinnati Bengals. Chase Brown was awesome in this game. Almost didn't score a touchdown. Pays off at the end with the touchdown. He's awesome. One of my best calls of the year. Jamar Chase is awesome. Joe Burrow is awesome. If you have T. Higgins, you're playing him. Even if it feels like the numbers may not be there, you know, in every game, but yeah, the numbers are going to pay off. He's good, and the defense is terrible. So start players against him if you can.
I have a Chase Brown Rainmaker card. Do you think I should put him in my? Wait, no, never mind. Sorry, I got right. Titans are hoping the Giants release Tim Boyle. They might want to upgrade their tanking. Yeah, Tim Boyle. I don't know what he's doing in the NFL. Did you see his college stats, by the way? I read them to Evan last night. You've never seen Tim Boyle's college stat line?
No.
Okay. So he started for 3 years at UConn. Okay. Mm-hmm. His career, that's not one season, this is career stats at UConn. He had a completion percentage of 48.4.
Ooh.
He had 1 touchdown in 3 years. 1 touchdown, 13 interceptions.
How's that even possible?
Yeah. What's he doing in the NFL? It's not like he was good in college and just was bad in the NFL. You see that all the time. But he was awful in college. So like, what do you think? Like how did he get here? Like I feel like he has to have like compromising photos of someone like, to keep getting jobs.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, it's crazy. John pointing out though, to address what Keyshawn said, quarterback class next year sucks anyway. I feel like Darnold's going to be a Titan, or maybe Aaron Rodgers. I feel like it's like where does Rodgers go next year? I feel like Tennessee might make sense.
Yeah, you mentioned it before.
Yeah, but like this quarterback class, it's Shador Sanders and Cam Ward at the top, and then nothing else. So you have to have a top 2 pick. Tennessee's not going to have a top 2 pick unless something crazy happens. So yeah, it's a rough situation for the Titans, and yeah, I feel like it's going to be either Darnold or Rodgers. I think that those are 2 likely situations there. Will Levis should be tested for color blindness. Yeah, he's should be tested for something. Something's wrong with him. Like he has such good ability too. Like he makes such beautiful passes sometimes. And then like the next play, he just throws it right to the opposing player. It's just I don't get it with him. It just like doesn't see the field well at all.
No.
All right. We have Ravens 35, Giants 14. We bet the first half line here to avoid like the Ravens just sitting players. It was Tim Boyle at the end for the Giants. Tim Boyle completed half of his passes. He threw as many touchdowns in this game that he did in college. One. He threw an interception though. Nothing from Tracy. Malik Neighbors was great, especially at the end, 10 for 82 and a touchdown. For the Ravens, Rashad Bateman, 3 for 80 and 2 touchdowns. He's had some like crazy spike weeks where he like does nothing for a while and then just goes off. Like he's perfect for best ball. Like, if you got him in best ball, like probably like round 16, round 17, like chances are you probably won the first. If you got in the playoffs, you probably won the first round. Just like Bateman just getting there for you. Justice Hill, we bet his over total yards because every time the Ravens are in a blowout, Justice Hill goes off. So that was nice. Derrick Henry, conversely, as opposed to Bateman, Derrick Henry, like he had a huge advance rate of like getting people into the playoffs at best ball. But I imagine like anyone who had him like probably lost at this 14 of 67, which is really surprising. Like I thought he'd have a bigger game than that. Lamar Jackson just got all the touchdowns. He had more touchdowns than incompletions. So, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean the players that mattered in this game were all out by early fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson was hanging out on the sideline. So, yeah, hard to obviously that's going to impact fantasy abilities. Don't start any Giants other than Tracy. Unless even Tracy's like I mentioned earlier, he's a low end RB2. I'm not even sure he's that. He's a high end flex. Other than that, I'm not even sure what was that. Neighbors? Tracy.
You said don't start any players outside of, and you said outside Tracy. What about
Malik Neighbors? Malik Neighbors. Oh, sorry, Malik Neighbors. I forgot. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. Malik Neighbors. Baltimore, like obviously any player you got with him, you're going to start. Zay Flowers looked good in this game. Just he's nowhere near. He wasn't involved in the red zone at all, and then they were out of the game. So so that's a bummer for us Zay Flower fans. Bateman, I don't trust him. I don't trust anyone. To me, it's right. It's Jackson, Henry, and Zay Flowers. I don't trust the tight ends, to be honest. I don't trust. I don't know which of the backup running backs, if they're going to get any play. It's hard to know. So it's limited options. Although, I mean, if you own those guys, they're great. If you own Jackson or Derrick Henry, I mean, you're probably still playing.
Yeah. Josh asking, worth taking the risk to start McMillan over McLaurin? I definitely would not. I know it's a tough matchup against the Eagles, but I would not.
Yeah, I would not do it.
Okay. All right. Let's get to the next game. Cowboys 30.
Panthers. I like McMillan, but I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, me neither. Cowboys 30, Panthers 14. Everyone expected the Panthers to win. They were 2.5-point favorites, and they crashed and burned. Bryce Young really regressed. He'd been playing so well, but albeit against teams that overlooked the Panthers, like the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, and the Eagles. I don't think any of them really took Carolina seriously, whereas like Dallas did. And like we after the game, CeeDee Lamb was like, yeah, people in Vegas thought that we're going to lose, and so like Dallas knew they were underdogs here. So I thought that was pretty funny. Jalen Coker went 4 for 110 and a touchdown. I think you could play him in DraftKings this week. He's only 4,200, and Xavier Legette is out, so it's going to be Coker and Thielen. So again, he's one of these cheap guys that you can use to get to better players, especially with like every good running back play on DraftKings this week is 7K or above. Like you need to at least get to at least two of those guys. So you have to have some cheap options. I think Coker is a good play this week against Arizona. So there's that. Chuba Hubbard was a disappointment. Everyone in Carolina was disappointed though, except for Coker. Rico Dowdle, 25 for 149. Just amazing production there. But unfortunately for Dowdle owners, or Doodle as we call him here, they play against Tampa this week, and then they play against the Eagles the next week. So those Doodle great performances are coming to an end. Cooper Rush had 3 touchdowns. I expect him to regress this week. Everyone should regress for Dallas except for Lamb. He will regress too a little bit, but still, I feel like Lamb is the only one you can start with confidence. And like try not to start Doodle this week against Tampa. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Jalen Coker, by the way, like looked the part. He wasn't fluky at all. He was very much part of the offense once he had opportunities. Several targets. Yeah, he looked legit. So I wouldn't be afraid to play him in DFS. I wouldn't want to play him in season long unless you're desperate. But yeah, I think as you said in DFS makes sense. Hubbard was fine in this game. He's a fine player. You still could trust him. It's a bummer that the stat line was disappointing, but I wouldn't shy away from using him. Bryce Young did not look good in this game. Made some bad passes, but that's part of being a young quarterback in the NFL. He's had some really, really good games over the last few weeks. So I wouldn't disparage him too much. I wouldn't shy away from Hubbard if I had to use Thielen or Coker. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb on the other side, you're starting if you have to. I'm not starting anyone else on the Cowboys, including Doodle. I don't. He's had 300-yard games. That's great. Well done. He'll probably do nothing the rest of the year, and then we'll never hear from him again. Remember, 10 years from now, we'll be like, remember that guy what was his name? Ryko Daldu? What? Like,
Yeah.
We'll be like, it'll be like we'll be thinking about him like he's like the Rudy Johnson of 2024. No, Rudy Johnson actually had a decent.
Yeah, he was good.
No, this guy will be like.
He's Tim Biakabatuka.
No, Tim Biakabatuka had a great college career at least, right?
Well, I'm talking about pro career.
Okay,
Biakabatuka had a 1,000-yard rushing season and then kind of like disappeared.
Yeah. Go blue.
Yeah. Who was the last Giants player Kenny had on his fantasy teams? Because they create sadness for him. So
they do create sadness. Not just for me; it's for everyone. You guys just don't realize that. I've enlightened you. Let me see. Well, not long ago, I had Saquon Barkley as a Giant a few years ago.
But you knew the whole time he was going to get to the Eagles eventually, so it was okay.
Yeah. So it helped. It was future spirits infusing my soul. So it was. I think I had Odell Beckham Jr. one year many years ago. When his prime, I had him. He was a first round pick of mine many moons ago, 2017 maybe. I think that's it. I think 2017, and I think maybe in 2021 or 20. I can't remember what year I had Saquon a few years ago.
See, you guys remember Steve Slayton? Me neither. So many like random running backs.
Steve Slayton, I broke his neck, right? I mean, like broke a vertebrae in his.
Yeah, something. Yeah, I don't like. There's so many running backs just like shuffle through, and you just like forget about them after a while. And then
Steve Slayton, wasn't he on the West Virginia team with Geno Smith? Weren't they on the same roster?
Yeah, he was on West Virginia. Yeah,
they overlapped there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just like it's so funny to just like go back in the years and just like recall like some like random running backs that you sometimes saw. For example, do you remember Marion Barber, Ryan Grant, Ernest Graham, Deshaun Foster, Chester Taylor,
Reuben Drones,
yeah, Ron Dane.
Ron Dane. Actually, I had Ron Dane as a Giant on a fantasy team many moons ago.
Yeah, probably did as well. Chris Ivory,
Yeah.
Stevan Ridley, Ben Tate, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. I'm just like reading off the rushing leaders.
I
Just
remember I never
random.
said Ellis. I refused. I just would call him Ben Jarvis Green.
Ben
And
Jarvis Green. I remember that.
you were like, he has like, I'm like, it's too many syllables. I give up.
Yeah, no Sean Moreno. Remember him?
That's
Ever
right.
thought he'd be great? But like no. Zach Stacy, Fred Jackson. Uh,
Hey, Fred Jackson had one really good year that I had him on a league. I had him in
mhm.
our league one year, and when he went off, tore his ACL like in week 10. But
Yeah,
help me get the number one seed.
yeah. He's yeah, Beanie Wells, Sean Green. I can do this all. I can do this all night. Let's move on. Fred Jackson's good. Liddell Betts. Oh man, remember him?
Oh man.
Maurice Claret. Does Keenan Allen outperform Jameson Williams this week? I love Keenan Allen this week. PPR, not PPR, and against slot receivers. Um, the uh, the Lions are just really bad against slot receivers. So I think that you could play him. He had a great game against the Lions the first time. Yeah, so yeah, don't mock Fred Jackson. He's a fan favorite. Yeah, Fred Jackson is awesome.
No
It's just,
mocking here. I love
yeah. We're not mocking. It's just like cool to like remember these names, like these like forgotten names.
I remember it was I remember what was it it was like was it Ryan Fitzpatrick and Fred Jackson and like Eric Moulds? Maybe like that was like the I can't remember, maybe Eric Moulds was before Fred Jackson.
Peerless Price.
Peerless Price in that roster.
Yeah. Yeah. Fred Jackson played like pretty like late into his career. Stevie Johnson, that's right. Stevie Johnson.
Stevie Johnson was later though, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was around the same time.
Yeah, I think he was later.
Peerless Price was like 2003, 2004.
Yeah. Stevie Johnson wasn't drafted till like 2015, 20
Yeah.
that range.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's get to the next game. We had Chiefs 21, Browns 7. This was a disastrous game for Jameis Winston. 3 interceptions. One wasn't his fault, but the other two, he looked like he was drunk. It's really the only explanation I have. Like, it was so bad.
There's only one rational analysis here. He was drunk. That's it. It's the only assessment.
He was terrible. I don't know what he was seeing.
The only conclusion I can come to.
Seriously, because like he was so. Remember against Denver Monday night, he was amazing except for those 2 pick sixes. But one was desperation time, but still, I mean, he looked so good against Denver. Like he couldn't be stopped, and then you have this performance against the Chiefs defense that couldn't stop Aiden O'Connell 2 weeks ago. Like what is happening here? But he got benched. It's gonna be Dorian Thompson-Robinson, which I think is a great move, right? Fantastic move because that means the Browns are gonna be able to lose games easier, and they'll get a better draft pick. Jerome Ford is the top waiver option this week. Nick Chubb's out for the year, which I can't say I'm surprised. It's a shame. And then like I even said it when Jonathan what's his name, the Panthers running back Jonathan Brooks, when he went down, I said that like when he went down, I'm like, I'm surprised Chubb hasn't gotten hurt yet because like coming off the torn ACL, these guys come back too early. And Chubb just didn't look right, and now he's out for the year. So I think he can rebound next year, but that's not like clear. But he'll at least have a better chance. Like he should not have been played this year at all. But Jerome Ford is going to have the backfield all to himself, which is nice. Jerry Jeudy, he's been posting 100-yard games like for the past month and a half, but like that's going to come to an end with no Jameis Winston. So that sucks if you had Jeudy. For the Chiefs, there's not really much to say. Like very mediocre production. Like they won by 2 touchdowns, but didn't really feel like it just based on the stats. Like no one really did much. Even Travis Kelce, 4 for 27, just a big disappointment. Noah Gray caught a touchdown again. That's like all I have to say here. Pacheco 13 of 32, not great, but it was the Browns' run defense is really good, so I at least excuse that. So, what are your thoughts on this game?
You can. I'm not sure I trust any of the Browns now. I don't want. You said Jerome Ford's number one waiver wire. I think I would. I don't love Jerome Ford. I don't love this Browns team. Jerry Jeudy's value has just plummeted in my mind. I don't know what to.
Charkandrick West, Atron Means. Yeah.
Yeah, the Chiefs very well could win the Super Bowl this year without a single player that you'd want to have in fantasy football. It's unbelievable. We already recommended Isaiah Pacheco over some other guys, but honestly, I'm not like super ecstatic about Pacheco. So, there's no one in these two teams that I want in my roster in my starting lineup unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah. I mean Kelsey, right? But that's it.
I don't even want him. I mean, he's been terrible.
Yeah, he's had some good weeks, but yeah, I mean, it's not consistent though. Which is like what we saw last year. Remember, like he was such a disappointment in the regular season, and then he turned it on in the playoffs. I feel like he's gonna have a good playoff run. By the way, Marquise Brown looks like he might be coming back this week. He's practicing fully. And the Saturday slate, he's priced at the minimum 3,000. So I'm like, how do you not play him? Would you play if hypothetically if you play DraftKings? Would you play? Yes. Would you play Marquise Brown at the stone minimum 3,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. In the types of matchups I would typically play, I'm looking for I'm not playing cash games or like 50-50. It's like I'm going in GPPs, tournaments, like yeah, if you're like in a cash game or 50-50, like don't waste your time with Marquise Brown.
Right.
But if you're trying to win a tournament or you're trying to get upside GPP play, I think it's a great play at that price.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. John says I would start a drunk Winston over DTR, which I think that
unless of course you're trying to get a higher draft pick.
Right. That's I think that's what they're doing here. I think the Browns. I think the Browns are going to respond the same way the Giants responded when they benched Daniel Jones, and they just were a complete no-show against the Buccaneers. I think that's going to happen this week against Cincinnati, but we'll see. By the way, so I brought this up last night, but for those who didn't hear it, I looked at the EPA of all the quarterbacks who started, not started, but like played since the beginning of 2023, who have thrown at least 60 passes. There are 68 qualifiers of those. So do you want to guess where Dorian Thompson-Robinson ranks EPA-wise out of 68 qualifying quarterbacks?
Well, Tommy DeVito has been in that mix probably. So I'm trying to think of who are the other bums in that mix. Mason Rudolph might be in that mix. What other bums might be in that mix? I mean, let me think. Mac Jones is in that mix. He's a bum. So of the 68, I'm going to guess he's 67th.
Wow, you got it. Ding, ding, ding. 67th place. You want to guess who the worst one was? It was the only quarterback worse than Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Is it Tommy DeVito?
No. I will give you a hint. It's another Cleveland Brown.
Deshaun Watson?
No, not Watson. He played last
year. DTR?
No, DTR was the 67th.
Wait, I'm sorry. Not DTR. I had a brain fart. Who's the other guy that played there last year? The mobile quarterback. I forget his name.
Is that guy?
PJ Walker, that's his name.
Yes. Philip Walker, yeah. 68. That's right. The Browns have had the two worst quarterbacks in the NFL over the past couple of years.
I thought you were going to tell me it was Deshaun Watson. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what?
No.
I mean, he's bad. Not that bad.
I think he's like in the 50s.
Pretty bad.
But Spencer Rattler, by the way, 66th. So only one spot ahead of Dorian Thompson-Robinson. If Jake Haener had enough passes to qualify, he would be the worst. He's even worse than Philip Walker, by the way. So he just didn't qualify with the passes.
Before we move on from this game, I texted you earlier today. I told you I have two great stats for you.
Okay.
I want to give you the first of the two. Ready?
All right.
This goes back to 1990. Okay, so over the last, that's the farthest back that I can get from Pro Reference. Going back to 1990, over the last 34 seasons, not including this season. So this is the 35th season since then. Okay, over the last 34 seasons, teams that did not score at least 30 points in one game, their winning percentage is 300. All right, so they're winning 3 out of 10 games. Mm-hmm. That's the average, right? So they're whatever that they're basically 4-12 or
Right.
that's like the most common record for a team. If a team goes an entire year without scoring at least 30 points in one game.
Okay.
This season in 2024, there are 5 teams. Count them, 5 teams that have not scored at least 30 points in a game this season. They've never gone above 35. The Giants 2-11, the Raiders 2-11.
I was going to guess the Raiders. Yeah.
The Jets 3-10, the Patriots 3-10. Do you know who the 5th team is?
Is it what a team here? Well, actually, the Jets just did it last week, but I don't know. The Browns, no, just kidding. The Chiefs, I assume.
The Chiefs
yeah,
are 12-1, and they have not scored more than 30 points in a single game this year. That is unbelievable. That the other teams that haven't done it have all won, So, the Jets just scored there. That was before this game. Sorry. So just like coming into this weekend, 5 teams. They're all bad teams. And so, how are they 12-1? I mean, that is just remarkable.
It really is. They just keep squeaking by bad teams. Like they beat the Raiders by 2. They beat the Panthers by 3. Like these are games that they should win by more. Like John says, luck. I don't know. It feels like they just do the bare minimum to win. It's remarkable. It just keeps working somehow. But I equated it to like the person who shows up to work at 9:01, leaves at 4:59, takes an hour and a half at lunch. Takes like long bathroom breaks, just like does the complete bare minimum to get by. But like they just keep winning. It's unbelievable. I don't know how sustainable it is. And if I hadn't seen them win the Super Bowl last year, I would say no chance that they could win the Super Bowl this year. But we just saw them turn it on. So that could happen. Like they just could go off in the playoffs as soon as it starts happening. Like Travis Kelce is going to go nuts again. Mahomes is going to be great. They get Marquise Brown back. Maybe they figure out their left tackle situation. Maybe they stop goofing around at the goal line or stop like taking deep shots on 3rd and 2 for no reason. I don't like. Are you willing to write them off for the playoffs?
Not with Mahomes on the team. Not with Andy Reid.
Yeah.
And they've got talent on both sides of the ball. They're not the most talented squad, but
yeah. It's they've had some luck for sure. Like they should even considering like what they've done, they shouldn't even be 13-1. They should have a much worse record, but like even considering all the luck they had, like it should be like 10-3 or 9-4. Like this is not a 13-1 team. Yeah, Likely's toe. Yeah, like exactly. Like they've had so many fluky like ways of winning, but at some point you have to wonder like, is it just like meant to be? I don't know. It's very strange. It just keeps happening that way.
If they end up with the 1 seed, which I mean looks probable, right? They end up with the 1 seed, and like you said, like these are a bunch of veterans. They're really smart players, well coached, and Mahomes is still just the baddest MFer on the planet. Like the dude is like, with all love and respect for Josh Allen, Mahomes just especially he's got a knack. He knows how to win. He's a different cat. And I would not want to go to Kansas City to play that game. Coming off of a bye week. Like if you're, whatever team it is going in there week 2, I could see them turning it on, just smoking teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wouldn't be crazy to be like, oh, they win the Super Bowl, and you're like, they scored 30 points in all 3 of their postseason games and win the Super Bowl. And it's like they didn't score 30 points all year, and all of a sudden the playoffs are scoring 30 points. Like that would not surprise me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's pretty crazy. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I do suspect that they'll be a tough out in the playoffs, especially like they get Marquise Brown going. Like I don't know what condition he's in, but he can't hurt. So what do you do with Mahomes here? Because he got hurt in this game late in the game. He limped off the field. Like he looked pretty bad. It's a high ankle sprain, and yet he's like it seems like he's adamant that he's going to play. The Chiefs went from 2.5-point underdogs to 3.5-point favorites. So that sounds like he's definitely going to be in. So
I'm not starting him in my fantasy playoffs. I don't trust this team right now.
Yeah,
from a fantasy perspective. So I've long. I don't do weekly projections or weekly rankings. That's for the birds. I'll leave that to you professionals. Am I got time for that? But if I did, he wouldn't be in my top 12 in the last several weeks.
Yeah, I don't. I'd be surprised if he ends up in the top 12 here. I thought that when I saw him go down with an injury, it just like the thought occurred to me that Carson Wentz would come in and lead the team to the Super Bowl and win it, just like Nick Foles did for Carson Wentz, and maybe he'd do it against the Eagles.
That would be something.
How devastating would it be for an Eagles fan to see Carson Wentz do that?
That would kill my soul more than having my entire fantasy team be all Giants.
That would be brutal. So I don't know. It's not going to happen because Mahomes is going to play, but still. All right. Cardinals 30, Patriots 17. I pointed out this a couple of times. This was the easiest game the Cardinals had all year. They played against I've grouped teams in the NFL like Group A through Group F. Group A being the elite teams, Group F being the worst teams. Before this game, Arizona had not played a team in Group D or Group F all year. They've had the toughest schedule in the NFL. And so they finally get an easy team, and they take care of business. Although Kyler Murray, really disappointing stat line. Like he went 23 or 30 for 224, but no touchdowns. So if you start him in fantasy, like you saw him play a good game, but he did not score for you, and so that was disappointing. Conversely, James Conner, 16 for 110 and 2 touchdowns. I've been talking about James Conner for weeks here. The easiest playoff schedule. He plays the Panthers next week, and then he plays the Rams, who are just not good against the run either. So hope you guys were able to get Connor. Trey McBride, great again. Marvin Harrison, a dud again. Harrison has a better matchup this week, so maybe he rebounds, but I don't know if I'd bank on that. But McBride should continue to play well, although he continues to not score touchdowns. Like they try to get him the ball on a shovel pass in this game, and he didn't score. He got tackled at the 1 yard line. So as great as he's been, he just can't score. And so I don't know. Maybe it turns around against Carolina. For the Patriots, Drake May continues to be like Blake Bortles. Great production in garbage time. He got there with 19 fantasy points. So if you started him, you weren't hurting too much. And I did like what's his face, Demario Douglas here. He caught the touchdown. I don't know, the stat's not showing up, but he caught the touchdown. And so Demario Douglas has a really good matchup this week against the Bills, who haven't been able to stop slot receivers. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Drake May was surprising. I did watch a chunk of this game. Drake May, who I've kind of been a fan of this year, did not look good in this game, as you've mentioned. I would not say he looked like Blake Bortles earlier games, but in this game, that's probably an accurate description. Again, he's a rookie, so you expect that. I'm pretty high on Drake May long term. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. There's no one on the Patriots I want on my roster. I know you said Douglas has got a decent matchup this week going up in Buffalo, but if you could help it, I would prefer not to have him in my starting lineup in the fantasy playoffs. I'm not even sure, and I'm not sure I want him in DFS because I'm not even sure what the upside is. Like, this offense is not going to get in the red zone much, so I don't know that there's really a lot of upside there. I don't know. Marvin Harrison, he's not going to rebound. He sucks. He's barely a top 40 receiver. Don't start him. If you drafted him in the second round, you're probably not playing, and that was a stupid move. You shouldn't have done that. Told you so. Anyway, don't draft rookie receivers in the first few rounds of fantasy drafts. It's a bad idea. Kyler Murray actually looked good in this game, by the way. And James Conner looked good in this game. Trey McBride is awesome. The no touchdown thing is just kind of fluky. So if you got him, start him. Don't worry about it. If he doesn't score, bummer. I do wonder, though. I did think about this for 2025, for next year. I do wonder, and I would be excited about this, if next summer, if there's a narrative around him, like people are like, oh, he can't score touchdowns, and that maybe depresses his stock a little bit, that would be awesome because then maybe we get some value there. I remember we used to get a lot of value with Andre Johnson early in his career. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Kind of 2003 to 2007, there was a string of seasons there where Andre Johnson just couldn't score touchdowns for some reason. It was fluky, and it would kind of depress his fantasy value every year. And I owned them a bunch, and it was great. So I think we could see that with McBride. I'm not sure I want any of the receivers on this team. I don't know that I trust any of them. But McBride and James Conner, I'm rolling with, no problem.
Yeah, I thought about playing both in in my same DFS lineup. Now and then I saw Brenton Strange's his salary, and I was like, okay, let me go with this guy instead. But as far as Douglas is concerned, I was speaking about him more in DFS, and you are right. Like, he doesn't have amazing upside, but he is only 4,400. So I assume you would rather have Coker at 42 than Douglas at 44 if you play DFS.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. That's what I ultimately settled for. But I do like Douglas at 44. I think he has a decent match, like a really good matchup this week, and he could get there in the end zone in garbage time.
That is PPR too, every minute. So there's a different.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get to your Philadelphia Eagles 27, Steelers 13. I found it remarkable in this game that the Steelers had 2 offensive drives in the second half. That's it.
2.
2. That's insane.
This was a dominating performance.
It was fantastic. Hurts was great. Barkley, he didn't do that much, but I suspect he's going to have a rebound next week against Washington. AJ Brown, we bet his over receiving yards. That was nice. He got there 8 for 110 and a touchdown. He was another guy I had in that DFS lineup with Josh Allen and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And like, if he caught another touchdown, I could have got there. But anyway, for the Steelers, no Pickens, no passing attack. So if Pickens is out again, I think you can play Calvin Austin in that Saturday slate. He's only like 3,600 or 3,500. He caught 5 passes. He's seen 9 targets in the past 2 weeks, and he's a deep threat. You're talking about Douglas having no upside. Austin actually has upside because like he can go deep. We've seen that a couple times this year, and he's playing against Baltimore's defense. Ravens very susceptible to the pass, so I love Calvin Austin if Pickens is out. Conversely, I don't like any Steelers running back because they split carries and they're just not getting the blocking. So, what are your thoughts on this game?
The Eagles turned the ball over twice in the first quarter and gave the Steelers kind of phenomenal field positioning. The Steelers were able to cash in 2 turnovers. They cashed them in for a grand total of 3 points. That's not good. Usually you want to if you get 2 turnovers and you get great field positioning, you want to get more than 3 points out of that. So a little bit of a frustrating thing there. But then the Eagles turned it on. The Eagles got the ball back. They got the ball back with 10.5 minutes left in the game at their own 1-yard line. The Steelers punted. They're at their own 1 with 10.5 minutes left, and the Steelers never got the ball back. The Eagles just methodically on a 21-play drive, just methodically went down the field, run, dump off, run, dump off, run, dump off, Jalen sneak, tush push, like just right down the field. And they got all the way down inside the 5-yard line. They could have scored a touchdown if they wanted to, but they chose not to, and they just let the clock run out. The longest drive in Eagle history, both in number of plays and time of possession. 3rd longest drive in terms of time. 3rd longest in NFL history. Although that stat only goes back to 1990. Before that, apparently they didn't calculate the length of drives before 1990. Who was a statistician back then? I don't know. But pretty just remarkable. The Eagles threw it all over the place. They threw the ball. They ran the ball. They ran some unique plays they hadn't run before. Some misdirection. Kenny Gainwell looked good. Saquon Barkley missed most of the second quarter and a chunk of the third quarter. Something injured. He reached for his ankle, so watch out for that. I would be a little. Obviously, if you have Saquon, you're starting him. But I would be a little nervous about Saquon this week. I'd be curious, maybe if the Eagles just want to maybe limit him a little bit, just keep him healthy for the playoffs. Are they going to start doing that? I could see them doing that with him. I think the rushing record or a potential MVP was something motivated the Eagles, and that seems to be out of reach now. Both the rushing record, he'd have to average like 135 yards a game for the next 3 games, I think, to get it. It's probably not realistic. And the MVP, I think Josh Allen just sealed that up. So I don't think there's a lot of reason. If you're a Saquon owner, obviously you're going to start him. There's nothing you can do about it. But in DFS, I'd be a little nervous to play him in DFS, only because what if they limit him a little bit? What if they want to lean on Kenny Gainwell the next few weeks, just as they keep him healthy? Of course, now that I say that, Saquon will have 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the Eagles were dominant in this game. You got to say they're the best team in the NFL right now. With all respect to the Lions, Chiefs, and Bills, I think the Eagles are the best team, and of course I'm a homer. But yeah, if you got them, it is interesting though. A team like this, like they don't have a lot of ancillary weapons that are valuable in fantasy, right? It's Jalen, it's Barkley, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and then that's it. On the Steelers side of things, Russell Wilson was terrible in this game. He's been playing better the last few weeks, but he was terrible, and so I don't know. There's no one on the Steelers that I want to start other than Pickens, and there's no one I want to play in DFS on this team either.
Yeah, I still like Austin at 3,600, but in that Saturday slate, you don't have too many options. It's only
That's
four
true.
games.
That's true.
Only 4 teams. Saquon. Yeah, you make me second guess my Saquon pick in DFS. He's 8,300, so it's actually a discount from what we saw 2 weeks ago when he was 9,000. So I got excited about that price. I love the matchup. He had 36 DK points against Washington the first time. So I thought, but you do make a good point. He was DMP in practice today, but only for rest. He was one of 6 players who rested with DMP today. So the fact that they didn't list his injury kind of makes me feel better about it. But that is something to watch. Like you're right. Like maybe they ease off a little bit here, but in fairness, like this is the game to clinch the division. So. Generally, like players on good teams tend to get up for motivational stuff like that. So I don't know. I could go back and forth. I can see Barkley having a huge game. I can see Barkley being rested a little bit as well. So we'll see. All right, the game of the week: Bills 48, Lions 42. The Bills had a good lead for most of the game, but yeah, it was just complete domination of Detroit's injury ravaged defense. Josh Allen didn't quite get 3-3 again. He got 2-2. He like almost got a third rushing touchdown too. But yeah, I mean, he was amazing. I played him in DraftKings. It's like an easy way to cash. Like he just went insane. And then I paired him with Amon-Ra St. Brown on the other side. So like that was such a cool lineup that just like continued to like score like points nonstop in the second half. It was like a pinball machine. James Cook was great, 14 for 105, 2 touchdowns. Keon Coleman came back and caught a 64-yard pass and then didn't do anything. Kincaid came back. Ty Johnson, of all players, led the Bills in receiving. That was weird. Khalil Shakir caught a touchdown for the Lions. Montgomery's out. He's going to be out for most of the regular season, if not all the rest of the regular season. So Jahmyr Gibbs, he's produced insane numbers when Montgomery's been out. I feel like he's like a top 5 locked in running back the rest of the way. And then Sam Laporta, he had some rough games to start the year in the middle of the season. He's starting to come on, 7 for 111. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Gibbs is my number 1 running back for the rest of the season. By the way, I just happen to own him in our league going into this, so it's great. Mm-hmm. I think I did see on the site though. I feel like you gave a disaster rating pretty low. You were like David Montgomery, he's injured, but like it's not that big a deal. They have Gibbs, they'll be fine. I think that maybe it's a bigger deal than he is. Side note, I am a reader of the Walt Football website, just in case you didn't know that. So I was a little surprised. I was like, I feel like Walt's underrating that a little bit. So I think they relied on so much on those guys, both of them. And David Montgomery was a whipping boy of mine for many years, for several seasons. He's proven me wrong. He's been a really reliable player. So I think they're going to miss him. By the way, if you're a Lions fan, I'm sorry, man. What a bummer. I hate when players get injured. I'm always sad because I want players to be I want teams to be at their health, and I want to see good teams play. So I'm always bummed when I see injuries like that. But they're decimated on both sides of the ball right now. My stat of the week, by the way, is coming in this game. My next stat of the week, but. I think Gibbs is number 1 in my mind, rock solid. Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown both 8 in this game. We've kind of seen them go back and forth all year, so that's a big deal. But of course, James Williams didn't tear it up, although he scored a touchdown, but was not really a part of the offense late down the stretch. I mean, it was Amon-Ra St. Brown and Laporta were the kind of the primary targets there. So I don't know what to make of him going out. Do you trust Williams? I don't think I want him in DFS or standard, like or typical. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's
Josh Allen,
just like a best ball guy, like James
yeah,
Williams.
yeah. Josh Allen, he's awesome. Like, listen, I've got the biggest man crush on Patrick Mahomes. Okay, I get it, but Josh Allen, man, the guy is he's Superman. He's awesome. But they got there's no defense on that team. Like, they can't win a Super Bowl with that team as is. I don't think they can make it to the Super Bowl as constructed. And I thought a couple weeks ago I wasn't sure, but I watched that game and I just think that their special teams has suspect moments and their defense has a lot of suspect moments. I could see Patrick Mahomes. That would be the game where they scored 30 points for the first time all year against the Bills in the AFC title game. That's just, I think it's rough. I think either Cook just had 100 plus yards. But I don't know that I love Cook. Like, if you have him, you're starting him. But I don't love him. I wouldn't start him in DFS. Although they're on Saturday, right?
No, they moved the game to Sunday at 4:25 against the Patriots, who are terrible against the run. So I do like him this week. I
did pick up Ty Johnson, by the way, in our league. He's one of my 7 running backs.
Okay, nice. Just gotta hoard the running backs, of course.
That's what I do.
Were you saying you don't like the Bills defense to make the Super Bowl or the Lions defense?
The Bills, sorry.
In fairness to the Bills, they were down 3 starting defensive backs in this game. Russell Douglas and both starting safeties didn't play. So they had cluster injuries there. And Matt Milano is coming back from injury. And so he's not 100% yet. So he could get there. I can see the Bills getting better in the playoffs. Based on how they looked against the Rams and the Lions, I agree. This is not a team that can win the Super Bowl with that defense, but I think they can improve in the coming weeks.
No team has ever won a Super Bowl having given up more than 40 points in a game twice in one season.
Interesting. That's your stat?
Yep. No. That one's a random stat I saw. That's not my favorite. That's not the good stat. That was bonus.
Okay. Well, what's your real stat then?
Okay, here we go. I got to get my notes out here because this is a good one. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Ready? This is 33 times in NFL history a quarterback has had 490 yards and 3 touchdowns. All right, including Jared Goff this past Sunday. It's happened 33 times in NFL history, including playoffs, dating back to 1920. There's been over 20,000 NFL games, by the way. I Googled that this week. So over 40,000 quarterback starts. Over 40,000 quarterback starts, only 33 times has a quarterback had 490 yards and 3 touchdowns. Here you go. Of those 33, only 5 times has it been accompanied with 0 interceptions. So 5 times ever in NFL history, including playoffs, a quarterback has had 490 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Okay. Including Jared Goff on Sunday.
Okay.
It's happened 5 times. The first 3 times, the quarterback won the game. It happened, I got him Yad Tittle 1962, Boomer Esiason in 1990, and Big Ben for the Steelers in 2009. Those are the first 3 times it happened. They all won their games. It's happened 2 times since then, twice. And both times the quarterback has lost. Jared Goff on Sunday. It happened 1 other time in NFL history where a quarterback threw for more than 490, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and still lost the game. Walter, can you name that occurrence?
Was it Josh Allen against the Rams? Or no? Was it?
This would be close to my heart.
Oh. Close to your heart, huh? Was it Nick Foles during that one year in 2013?
No. We watched this game together. I'm going to make that one obvious now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. Of course, in Minnesota.
CBD, Super Bowl 52. Tom Brady threw for over 490, 3 touchdowns, right. No interceptions, and he lost to the GOAT, Nicky franchise.
The GOAT.
Out of the week. There you go, friends.
It just proves. I wonder who the. I guess we know it's only happened twice. The prevailing quarterbacks were Josh Allen and Nick Foles. So there you go.
Amazing. Listen, I spent about 30 minutes doing research for that statistic this week
That's awesome.
because apparently I hate my family, I don't want to spend time with them, or I hate my job, or I hate my friends. Apparently, I have nothing productive to do in my life other than look up random stats. I guess so. I had a thought. I'm like, I wonder how long this happened. And I was on Pro Football Reference looking up games, and I didn't know who Ya Tittle was. By the way, he's the first guy to do it in 1960.
Yeah, Tittle. You mean YA Tittle?
I call him Ya.
Yeah, Tittle.
Oh, there are a couple. Billy Volek, by the way, had a game where he threw for over 500 and 3 touchdowns. He also had 3 interceptions in that game. And Drew Brees has a game where he threw for 490 and 7 touchdowns and 3 interceptions in the game. So it happened. There's a couple 450s in there, 460s. There was lots of fun research project I did this week.
That's awesome. Yeah, who needs family and friends when you have cool football stats?
That's right.
Ya Tittle, as you called him. His name Yelberton Abraham Tittle.
Whoa, that's impressive.
Yelberton. Can you imagine that?
Like, apparently he led the Giants to an NFL title once upon a time.
Yeah, that means he had a sad soul. You announced last week that you're expecting your 3rd child. Are you considering Yelberton as the name? You want to put that with your wife?
Certainly.
Yeah, ask your wife that. See what she says. Yelberton. All right. So we go on to the saddest game of the week. I talked about the Redskins letting me down. Broncos 31, Colts 13. If the Colts had covered the spread, this is not showing up. What happened? If the
I love how pregnancy test is the advertising on your website right below there.
Kind of weird, huh? We were talking about that last week. It's very strange. All right, so yeah, I guess this is missing. So this was a huge disappointment because I had the Colts in all 3 of my Super Contest entries, and had the Colts covered, I would have gone 5-0 in 2 of the entries. I would have gone 4-1 in the other one, and if I had the Redskins cover as well, I would have gone 5-0 in all 3 entries, which has been just amazing because I have a chance to be in the top 5 of the 9-week mini contest, which carries a nice prize. So it was just really disappointing that it didn't happen. But I mean, if you watch this game, you know what occurred. It was the Colts were up 13-7. Jonathan Taylor runs into the end zone, and I saw it. I don't know. Did you watch this game at all?
Yeah. Oh, I only saw the highlights. Yeah.
Okay, the highlights. I was watching it live because I mean it was one of my top plays. Colts plus 4.5, and I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I saw him drop the ball, and I was like, please don't stop. Like, please don't see it. Please don't see it. Please don't see it. And of course, they delay the extra point for 2 minutes. And I'm like, oh, come on. And then they show the highlight. And then you hear the Broncos fans cheer. And I'm like, oh, come on. Like this happened earlier in the day. How's it, I guess you call it Deshaun Jackson because he was the first person to do it. How are there 2 Deshaun Jacksons on the same day? And it's not some bum, I mean, not that Deshaun Jackson was a bum. So right. the other guy who did it was a bum. This was one of the best running backs in the NFL. Jonathan Taylor just drops the ball. You remember LaDainian Tomlinson used to always hand the ball off to the referee. It's where did that happen? Where'd that go? And I don't how did they just drop the ball all the time? It's just not a once in a decade occurrence. It just happens pretty frequently. I don't get it. So anyway, yeah, Jonathan Taylor dropped the ball to prevent them from going up 20-7. And so they still have the ball, nothing really happens. And then the field goal, 13-10, and then Michael Pittman Jr. fumbles. And then of course you had that Adonai Mitchell pass where he took a 5-step drop back and and just launched the ball, and it's pick 6 by Nick Bonito. It's man, what should have been a 27 or 26 lead? I can't remember. One of those things. It could have been an easy win for the Colts. Instead, they just screwed it up. And then the Broncos, they got a late touchdown to make the score look ugly. And I think anyone just looking at the scores, oh yeah, Broncos blew out the Colts. The Colts outgained the Broncos by 110 yards They averaged 1.1 more yards per play. So it was very undeserved win for the Broncos. I'm not impressed by the Broncos at all. I think they're the most overrated team in the NFL. Look at that, Kenny. I filibustered enough to get the stat up. So all right. So anyway, Bo Nix, very underwhelming game. Broncos. I'll say this about the running game: we don't know who's going to run the ball, but Jaleel McLaughlin's out on Thursday, so we might have a better idea. So it's either Williams or Estime. Sutton's the only guy you want on the Broncos. He's the only really real producer. And for the Colts, like Taylor, 22 for 107, but like that like drop ball is just like a big stain on his performance. And then Pittman 6 for 58, but he fumbled. So Josh Downs, by the way, 3 for 32. He was missed, for a decent gain. Richardson just sucks. 17 for 38. Just awful. So what are your thoughts on this game now that I talked for like 5 minutes just so I could get these stats up?
I mean, you said most of it. Yeah. For either one of these teams, there's limited options either for season long or for DFS. I feel like I've said this about every other game, right? The Jonathan Taylor thing, I just don't get it. Just make sure you score a touchdown and then do whatever you want to do. It's just so idiotic. And now he'll live in infamy. Just what's so dumb. It's a shame because he's a really great player, right? I mean, and his stat line would have looked awesome. But it's a bummer. That's Anthony Richardson is terrible. He's terrible. And so other than Jonathan Taylor, Jonathan Edwards, famous Puritan in the 1700s. Other than Jonathan Taylor, I want no part of the rest of this team. I don't care what the stats say. I don't want them. I don't want to start Richardson. I don't want to start Pittman. I don't want to start Downs. I don't want any of those guys in any format or DFS or anything. I don't want those guys because the goose egg is the possibility for the floor is just so low. And I feel the same way with the Broncos, with the exception of Sutton. I don't want Bo Nix. I don't want either running back. I don't care if McLaughlin was playing or not. I don't want any of these running backs. They're a bunch of bums. I don't care about the receiver. I don't care. The only guy on this team that I want is Sutton. So between these two teams, there's two players worth playing in any format. It's Taylor and Sutton. The Denver Broncos are going to go to the playoffs, and they'll probably get smoked in the first game. But maybe I'm a little bit higher on them than you are, and I think Sean Payton has done a good job as coach here. Overrated, probably, but you don't win this many games without some good coaching along the way. And so I think Sean Payton probably won't win Coach of the Year, but I think is rightfully in the running.
Yeah, I think Kevin O'Connell should get that award. The Broncos, they have 9 wins, and I mentioned groups A through group F. 6 of their wins against group D or F. Very, very unimpressive collection of victories. Their other 3 wins, by the way, against group C. So they have not beaten a group A or group B team all year. So I do suspect once they play a group A or group B team in the playoffs, they will leave the playoffs very quickly, as you suggested. I would say this though, another point of sadness for me. You talked about like how you don't want any Colts on your roster. I drafted a lot of Alec Pierce in like the 17th round of best ball, just because like he has these spike weeks, and so you just want to like capture them like once in a while when they do happen. And he left the game with an injury early on, so it's like another thing. I imagine that I had a bunch of teams in the playoffs with him, so that was it was really, this game just like destroyed my soul here. You mentioned owning Giants players, like this ruined my day. I was like so upset about this game. Again, the Colts outgained them by 110 and averaged 1.1 more yards per play. Another game that I this was surprising, I think, to some, but like if you like paid attention to what happened, like you might not be. So Buccaneers 40, Chargers 17. The Chargers led 17-10, and they didn't score after that. Justin Herbert injured his ankle, and that's why they didn't score after that. He just was ineffective in the second half at all because he was dealing with that injury. Lad McConkey, solid stat line, 5 for 58 touchdown. Stone Smart, I mentioned him, 5 for 50. Great 26, a great production for 2,600 players. So happy about that. Quentin Johnson went back to catching touchdowns. But the Buccaneers were the impressive team. Only 5 incompletions from Mayfield, 4 touchdowns. Bucky Irving was back. We were worried about his health. And he barely practiced all week. And yet he went 15 for 117, whereas Rachaad White went 15 for 64. Mike Evans was possessed, 9 for 159, 2 touchdowns. Was incredible. And McMillan, we talked about him. We had a lot of people asking questions about McMillan. I do think he's definitely startable, but he's only a rookie. So there's going to be some balance of inconsistency, especially for a receiver. So I feel like there will be some regression, but if he has another good game, won't be surprised either. So what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think you said everything with the Chargers. There's no one in the running game that's worth starting. Just like Gus Edwards sucks, Vidal, who knows? Don't waste your time with the running game. But yeah, I think McConkey is a good start. Obviously, smart in DFS. Quentin Johnson, I don't want any part with him. I know he's great at touchdown. I don't care. He's terrible. Don't waste your time. The Bucs here, they had some really good moments. Baker Mayfield had a couple moments in this game where he looked really stupid. He made some bad decisions, but it didn't matter. Didn't bite him. Mike Evans is awesome. One touchdown was easy. He kind of ran to the post and the defender was just letting him look. I don't know what happened there. There was another one where he just made an awesome catch. So Cade Otton, you can cut him. Rachaad White, you shouldn't have him on your roster. If you did, you probably suck at fantasy. You're not playing anyway. You're out of the playoffs. So anyway, McMillan is an interesting one. I think he is a low end startable receiver, high end flex. So it is possible though that most quality fantasy teams probably have better options, but it is possible that someone doesn't. If I were, let's hope not, but if I'm in a situation where Joe Mixon gets rolled out before Saturday, I hope, okay, and then I've got Chase Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs in my running backs, but now I need a flex. Well, I need a wide receiver 3 and a flex. McMillan is probably my flex in that situation. Keenan Allen's my third receiver. I got MVS and I got McMillan. So let's hope Joe Mixon is playing. I think if Mixon were to be ruled out ahead of Saturday and I don't want to wait for Kamara on Monday, or Miller, then I might roll with McMillan as my flex, and I would feel okay with that. I don't think it's crazy. He's, as you said, he's a rookie. He's going to have rookie moments, but he's a good player, and I expect him to be good down the stretch.
Yeah, he could be. Like I said, there's going to be inconsistency. So ideally, you shouldn't rely on him, but I do agree that he's startable. Sue asked a question here. If Taylor had chucked the ball into the stands before crossing the goal line, it would have been an illegal forward pass, but where would they spot the ball after the penalty? Illegal forward pass is 5 yards from the infraction. So I think that they would have the Colts have the ball at the 6-yard line. So,
but if it goes through the end zone,
yeah. So yeah, from John Sanders from the NFL rulebook, if a wide receiver throws the ball through the end zone before crossing the goal line, it would be considered an incomplete pass and a turnover to the defending team. Interesting. Okay, well there we go.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Would Kenny use McMillan or Christian Watson? Those are only 2 options. I think I know the answer. I know Kenny hates Watson, so it's McMillan.
Yeah, that's McMillan. I don't want Christian Watson anywhere near my roster.
Yeah, Watson, another one of those best ball guys because he has spike weeks, but he has a bunch of zeros as well. So you want in best ball you want as many spike guys as possible because that's how you win. You want solid starters and spike guys who can really take over. All right. So Sunday Night Football was speaking of Watson team, Packers 30, Seahawks 13. So great game from the Packers. Love 20-27, 229, 2 touchdowns. Jacobs looked great. He almost had 100 rushing yards. Watson led the Packers in receiving, 3 for 56. But it was Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs played the most snaps of any Packer receiver in this game, 3 for 42 touchdowns. So just something to keep in mind. Otherwise, pretty balanced. We had Tucker Kraft over 33.5 receiving yards. He just got there at 34, which is nice. But conversely, we had Jacoby Myers at 59.5 on Monday night, and he had 59. So, it's you get lucky sometimes, and then you get unlucky the next day. Anyway, Geno Smith got injured. He hurt his knee, and then it was slinging Sammy Howell coming in and just taking sack after sack after sack. It's so bad. It's so bad. He had 14 attempts for 24 yards. That's a YPA of less than 2. So brutal. Charbonnet didn't have a chance to get going here. Jackson Smith and Jig was still great, still outproducing Metcalf. But yeah, what are your thoughts here?
On the Packers side, obviously Jacobs is awesome. You're starting him. Jordan Love's good. Starting him. I want no part of any of the receivers of the Packers right now. I just don't trust any of them. I like Jaden Reed. I think he's a great talent, but I don't know who's going to need the ball, when they need the ball. And there's no rhyme or reason in the offense. Like when you watch the Packers play, they never seem to be designing the offense for it. They go run routes, and they just trust Jordan Love to drop back and read the defense. And he does it well. He's a good quarterback, and they trust him to make the right reads. But where so many other teams, they design plays for players. Like this is designed to get to the ball in this guy's hands in this particular spot. The Packers don't seem to do any of that. And so there's like, if they're not going to prioritize a receiver, I'm not going to prioritize a receiver. And they got too many good players for it to. So I can't go in the playoffs and start any of these guys. I feel comfortable with them at the receiver position or tight end. And so obviously Jacobs is awesome. Jordan Love's awesome starting him. Geno Smith, his injury, we're going to watch that because I think that can impact this team. I said this last week. I said I was concerned about Metcalf. I said, if you've, I was like, I was just, and I couldn't believe I was going to say it. Like, I can't believe I'm going to say it, but I'm concerned. And I said, I think I said, I should go back. I said, there's always a possibility. I think there's a possibility he's going to get like 3 for 36. I think that's what I said. Well, he got 3 for 28. It was worse than what I thought. So now, of course, the Smith injury plays a significant role in there, but I'm nervous about Metcalf. And I think if you got other players, if you got other options, I think you got to seriously consider them. And Jigba is a must start, I think, in most formats. The running backs are good, but I don't know that Charbonnet is a must start. It's definitely possible that most Charbonnet owners have some better option. And if Smith's going to be injured, I would be looking at other options. If Smith is injured, Geno Smith's not amazing, but if he's injured, man, I'm thinking twice before I'm playing any of these Seahawks players in any format.
Smith was in practice fully today, so that's good news for anyone who has, your Smith and Jigbas, Charbonnets, to an extent Metcalf. Although I agree, like he's not healthy right now, so it's really hard to trust him. And yeah, I mean, for the Packers receivers, it's difficult to trust these guys in like regular fantasy or even DFS to an extent. But they're only good when 1 or 2 of the guys get injured, and then like the targets are consolidated. Like that's when they tend to go off. But otherwise, you're just guessing on like who's going to dominate. Like this week, it was Doubs, the 2 touchdowns. Like next week, it could be Reed. The week after, it could be Wicks. Then it could be Watson. You just never know which guy's going to go off. It's very difficult. But they keep winning, so it's hard to criticize.
Yeah.
All right, so we had 2 Monday night games, which I don't understand how they don't like stagger these games. Like have the second one start during the first halftime. Like it seems like an easy solution, but apparently too difficult for the NFL to figure out. Vikings 30, Bears 12. The Bears don't have an offensive coordinator. They don't have a head coach. They have an interim. So they had an interim offensive coordinator, and then they put him as interim head coach, but they don't have a real head coach. And now they don't have an offensive coordinator because their interim offensive coordinator is now head coach. So, of course, they're making stupid mistakes going for it on 4th down and just running with Swift. They had a touchdown wiped out because an ineligible player. They put a lineman at fullback and like he didn't report because he didn't know. These are the sort of mistakes you have when you don't have a real head coach and an offensive coordinator. So they're just bound to keep happening. And I don't think they're going to win a single game the rest of the way with the setup. And it's not like a bold thing to say because they're terrible and there are only 3 games left. But they just haven't been competitive at all. I think they're going to get blown out again this week against Detroit. But Keenan Allen, 6 for 82 and touchdown. He's been super hot since about like the beginning of November, maybe mid-November. And he keeps getting easy matchup after easy matchup. This one's an easy one again against Detroit, so I love Keenan Allen again. Outside of that, DJ Moore is okay, but then like I don't really like anyone else. For the Vikings, Jefferson and Addison, we talked about Addison earlier. These guys are awesome. Hawkinson was great. He has a good matchup this week as well. And then Aaron Jones, he's good. Not great, but he's good. I just think that like this matchup against Seattle is not ideal, but you can still start him. So what are your thoughts on this game?
I was watching this game very closely because I had in both my leagues lots of players on both sides of the ball. So I was go for and against, and so I think in our league I had Keenan Allen and the Bears defense, and my opponent had DJ Moore and then one I can't remember who else they had. Anyway, DJ Moore and someone and TJ Hawkinson. So that was I was watching that pretty closely. Anyway, I think you said everything well here. Keenan Allen is a great start. TJ Moore, love him as a player, but this offense is totally dysfunctional. It's unbelievable. Caleb Williams just holds the ball way too long, and I think that I realized he's just accustomed to. He's super athletic. Like we saw that on Monday night in a way that was like I really hadn't seen maybe in as many games. Like okay, this is why people say he was the Patrick Mahomes or the next Mahomes. Like I get why people say it. He's got that sort of like super incredible, like magical flexibility that just like no one has that. It's awesome. And the problem is he wants to use it on every play. Just like he drops back. I don't know what the advanced analytics are like on like the how long he's holding the ball, but like it feels like on every play he's holding the ball for 4 or 5 seconds, and it's just like, dude, throw the freaking ball. What are you doing? Just like, and I think at some point he's going to learn that, right? You would imagine like at some point he's going to figure out, listen, you got to just let it rip. Like guys are not going to be wide open. This ain't college, bro. And so at some point he'll figure that out, imagine, and then maybe that's when this guy takes off. Or maybe he never figures it out and he just ends up being a total bust. I guess that's possible as well. But what I've seen this year, he's the 4th best rookie quarterback. Like he's like there are 3 guys playing better than him right now. And so it's very odd. Anyway, I even DeAndre Swift, even though he just had 20 carries or 19 carries and a few targets, like I'm still not sure I fully trust him either. Like I don't trust this offense. Detroit defense, even though they're banged up, I think they could limit the running game here. So, like, I'm not starting a guy like Caleb Williams. I'm probably not starting DeAndre Swift unless I absolutely have to. Probably not starting DJ Moore unless I absolutely have to. Like, I think my only start is Keenan Allen. Ugh. And from like a DFS standpoint, none of these guys are priced well that I want to reach for them. So, yeah, I don't know. Don't start your Bears. And then on the Vikings side, Aaron Jones, start him. Jefferson, obviously, start him. Addison, start him. Hawkinson, start him. Those guys are great. And Sam Darnold didn't have as good a game as he had, but he's still good enough. Hopefully, you're not needing to start him as your fantasy quarterback, but he's good enough for the team to get there. I also realized I had a thought. It seems in a lot of people's minds that the Vikings were like, this is a rebuild year. They drafted a quarterback in the first round. They're a mediocre squad. They got some injuries. Rebuilding year. The Lions, by the way, are having one of the best seasons in franchise history. Oh my gosh, they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl. Dan Campbell's the favorite to win Coach of the Year. They have the same record.
Yeah,
like they're in the same. Like, can you imagine if the Eagles and the Lions stumble, that the Vikings could end up with the number 1 seed? Like, I think a lot of us have sort of like maybe it kind of just snuck up on me. Oh, the Vikings are real. Their defense is playing good. I think it's not crazy that they end up with the number 1 seed over the Lions.
I'll say this about the Vikings, and I got some hatred from Vikings fans. Our resident Vikings fan, Matthiasen, last night. I don't know if he's listening now, but if he is, sorry, Matthiasen, for repeating this. But I'm not a believer in the Vikings, even though they have a 12-2 record. there. I mentioned Group A through Group F. Ever since Christian Darrisaw went down with an injury, they have not beaten. They've been 7-0. They have not played a team above Group C. So they've beaten a bunch of bad teams or mediocre teams, and a lot of those games are close. Like obviously this one wasn't, but most of the other games were very close. Like for example, it's like 12-7 of the Jaguars. The Colts were that was like a 2 or 3 point game for until like 2 minutes left. The Bears the first time went to overtime. They just haven't been tested without Darrisaw yet, and like I feel like when they play superior teams, they will lose. I actually like Seattle this week +3 against Minnesota. I think Seattle's going to knock off Minnesota and end that winning streak. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. But I'm not a believer in the Vikings like I am. Like I think the Packers are better than the Vikings, even though they're 10-4.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely think the Packers are better.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we have one game left. This was quite the gem. Falcons 15, Raiders 9. It was 15-3, and then the Raiders got what looked like a backdoor touchdown, and then they missed the extra point, of course, to make it 15-10. All right, that would have made it 15-10, I should say. So they didn't get the backdoor cover. They got the backdoor push on the closing line. Desmond Ridder was awful.
Backdoor push on a missed extra point is it's as good as it gets.
It's unbelievable. Desmond Ridder was horrible. Jacoby Myers didn't have a single catch until the fourth quarter, and like I had over 59 receiving yards, as I said, and I was like, I tweeted out, I'm like, can the Raiders please put in someone who can throw the ball to Myers? And like as soon as that happened, Myers started catching passes. And he got to 59. I'm like, come on, just give him the 60. Like, of course he didn't get the 59.5. That would have ended such a great night for us because we hit the same game parlay in Chicago, Minnesota. But the Raiders were noting that Amir Abdullah won someone $1 million on the show. Or I don't know if it was $1 million. It might have been like $500K. Whatever the prize was in the showdown, because like he was like 1% owned or something. And then like he had 7 catches for 58 yards and a touchdown, because Sincere McCormick got injured. So it was Amir Abdullah just like catching checkdowns, like winning someone $500K. It's unbelievable. The Falcons are the bigger news here. Kirk Cousins, 11 of 17, 112, 1-1. This is against the defense missing Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins and Malcolm Kuntz. He got benched, rightfully so. And you just said Caleb Williams is the 4th best quarterback among rookies this year. He might be the 5th after we see Michael Penix play with these playmakers. Like you have London, you have Mooney, you have Pitts, you have Bijan Robinson. Algier is good. Like their offensive line shouldn't be that bad. Like they have a lot of talent. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Penix comes in and just lights it up, and like we see, it wasn't London being bad. It wasn't like Mooney being inconsistent. It was Cousins who sucked. So we'll see. I'm pretty bullish on these guys with Penix. Well, I'm bullish in relatively, like compared to like if it was another like a backup coming in, ordinarily you'd be like, oh no, backup's coming in. But like Cousins has been so bad that I feel like almost anything's gonna be an upgrade here. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this one? Like, do you think the Falcons should have benched Cousins or what?
I don't know. I mean, if he's fully healthy, I'd be rolling with Cousins, because he's the guy I just gave, $1 bajillion to. Yeah, I'd want to, but it doesn't appear he's fully healthy. And once you can't unring this bell, it's like, so for me, it's like, this is a last resort move. And maybe for them, maybe they got to the point they were like, we're not in the building. I don't know what's going on in the conversations, obviously. Maybe they were like, yeah, like this is a last resort, but like we have to make this move now. Maybe they know more about Cousins' health than we even realize, or maybe they know that they've decided they're moving on from Cousins and they're going to just take the $70 million dead money cap hit next year, and they're just going to eat the $90 million, cash that they have to pay him. Like they're on the hook for a lot of money. I mean, I don't feel bad for Arthur Blank. He's doing just fine.
Well, he's giving awards to himself, so he's definitely doing fine. Did you see that? Like early in the year, like he honored himself as like he got some award. It's like, wait,
Well,
it's like he's honoring himself. Like the Falcons present this award to Arthur Blank. It's like, but you own the team. Like it's your own award.
So I don't feel bad for Mr. Home Depot. It'll be fine. And so, I just think it's such a crazy situation. But what you just said is possible. Penix can come in and light it up. You're right. But the opposite is also true. He can come in and be totally disastrous. As a rookie who's not ready to play in the game yet. That's also well within the realm possibility. So I think there's high ceiling, low floor for all these guys, with the exception of Bijan Robinson. I think Bijan's awesome. He's the must start for me. I think everyone else, there's a floor for these guys. I mean, I think there's a floor for Drake London. 2 catches for 18 yards and no touchdowns is on the table. 2 catches for 5 yards is on the table for Pitts. If Penix is terrible in this game, and they stick with him throughout the game, I mean, that's their own possibility. So I would have a tough time starting these guys if my fantasy playoffs depended on it. But at DFS, if I can get one of these guys cheap, I don't know what Pitts' price is. I don't know what Mooney's price is.
London's like 6,400 and Mooney is like mid 5,000.
6,400 for London in the situation, like 6,400. I still feel like that the floor there is like, I don't know. If it was like 6,000, maybe 6,400 is just enough where I'm rethinking it.
It's not bad. It's okay.
Mooney in the 5s. So maybe, but anyway, I'd be nervous. And then on the Raiders side, oh gosh, they're terrible. I mean, their offense is terrible. They can't move the ball. They make dumb decisions. I don't think I want anyone on this team. I certainly don't want any of these running backs unless I'm just in a terrible situation. If you're in a terrible situation, and then maybe you need maybe a McCormick or Madison. Of those two guys, or maybe Abdullah makes a resurgence. I don't even know who I would start though of the mix, right? If they're all playing, if McCormick's out, then that maybe makes it easier. But like if they're all playing, they're all on the roster, the active on game day. I don't know that I want to start any of these guys, right? So there's no one. Even Myers at this point is unstartable, and the tight end's unstartable at this point as well, which is tragic because he was awesome, but he's unstartable now. Pretty much. Bowers is, now fading because the offense is so bad. So I don't think there's anyone on the Raiders that I want to be starting unless I'm just absolutely desperate.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just Bowers. I don't mind Myers. I think he's in PPR. I think he's fine. And standard, I don't like him as much. Cassandra is saying, Walt postulated that the Falcons made a dumb pick on Penix because they realized pre-draft that Cousins wasn't right. That made a lot of sense when and then seems very possible now. Yeah, I said, I was like, it's the only thing that made sense to me is like, if they paid Cousins $100 million and they're all happy, and then they see him throw and they're like, this guy's not right here. Let's make sure we draft this quarterback because we're gonna look really dumb if Cousins is awful and and we just wasted him $100 million. At least we'll have Penix to take over. And so that's what I thought. But Cousins, like in like October and like in that comeback against the Eagles, he looked good. Like he looked healthy. But he definitely does not look healthy now. Like he's definitely regressed. And so I imagine that probably like April, like when he was throwing around, like he definitely didn't look healthy then. So I think that's exactly what happened. They said they needed a contingency plan, which is like so stupid. It's like you just paid a guy $100 million. He just did it 2 months ago. Like, come on. Okay, in a year or two from now, sure. But like doing that 2 months after is so dumb. But like, that was like the only thing that made sense to me. It's just like, he just looked bad, and they wanted to make sure that they covered the bases there. And I guess like, I guess you can't fault them. You don't want to be stuck with the sunk costs, right? So like it's not like they could go back in time and redo the contract or negate the contract. Like obviously, if they saw him like throw poorly, they'd been like, oh, let's get in our time machine, just nix the contract. Like you can't do that. So you had to like adjust it. So it does make more sense now.
If they cut him, it's they're on the hook for $100 million either way, of the 180 contract. If they cut him at the end of this year, they would have paid him $100 million for 1 year, which is good for Kirk Cousins. Good for you. Good. I'm a capitalist. I never fault people making money. So, hey, good for you, Kurt. If they cut him, he made $100 million. He only counts this year against the cap for like whatever. I think he counts against cap this year for $30 million. So which means he would count against the cap $70 million next year. $70 million dead hit for them.
Yeah.
I'm the one. I'm thecapIsFake.com. I've said over and over again, you can finagle anything. Man, 70 million is hard to finagle around. Okay, wow, like that's a lot of money to have to. You can do it, but it's going to take some effort. So I would imagine they probably don't want to do that. If they can trade him, though, then I think it's 33 million of that money gets transferred to the next team, and so then they would have whatever, they would have only paid him 67 million for year one, and so then 37 million counts against cap next year. So even if they trade him, he still counts against the cap dead money, $37 million next year, which is still remember when the Eagles traded Wentz, it was a $30 million hit, which was the largest in the NFL at that time. Since then, there's been two others in the above 30. I can't remember which were there. There were two others that were 33 and 34. Can't remember what they were, but so this is an interesting situation. But if you're an NFL team, even if you're the Falcons, if you're just to save your situation, you're just like, we just want to trade him for a 7th round pick. We would have traded for a backup special teams linebacker, just to dump. Like, if you're a team receiving that, do you want to take on a $33 million guaranteed payment for Cousins next year? You don't want to be on the hook for that if you're a team, right?
No, who could possibly trade for him?
I don't know.
The Titans, maybe. I don't know. I that's the only thing I could think of. Maybe the Browns. They're already paying Watson. I don't know. I don't see a way out of this for them.
They have put themselves in a really difficult situation. If Penix ends up being terrible, and Cousins can heal and they come back next year and Cousins is good again, that's fine. But then they would have wasted a 1st round pick. Right. So there's no outcome where they come out looking good.
No, there's not. They could have drafted the best defensive player in the draft, and that would help them a lot right now. Whereas this team is awful. I have them in Group D, even though they're one game out of the division. This team has been terrible. They're only beating the bad teams. They're just getting blown out. They got blown out by the Broncos. This is just a capsizing team. Now maybe Penix provides a spark for them. He can't be worse. I don't think he can be worse than Cousins has been during this stretch where he's had in the past 5 games. He's had 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions. That's almost Tim Boyle's college stat line, by the way. Which is pretty incredible. But look, they got blown out by Minnesota. They got blown out by Denver. They almost lose to the Raiders here with no Crosby and Ritter starting. How embarrassing would it be if they lost to Ritter? And then they lose to the Saints. This team has been awful ever since they beat the Cowboys in week 9. It's just I don't know when it was, but Cousins has gotten progressively worse. He must have tweaked his foot or his Achilles or whatever. Because like I said, there's a stretch in October where he was playing really well. He threw for 500 yards on a Thursday night game against Tampa. He was playing well for a while. And then something happened, and now he's just a shell of himself. And they had to move on because they're not going to win another game with him. At least Penix gives them a chance, Although they do have 2 easy games. They have quote unquote easy. They have Giants this week. They have the Panthers in week 18. So they could. Which is why I would have stuck with Cousins, I think. Okay.
Like, because it's like, okay, if he's ever going to get right this season, then it would be, I guess it would have been against the Raiders. So I take that back.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's the Giants. Like, that would be like a get right game. Like, I don't know.
I mean, how many get right games can you have?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like he had the Saints, he had this Raider team without Crosby.
Yeah.
At some point, I think you have to move on, and like this is the perfect opportunity to get Penix some confidence here against the Giants. Like get him going, because like I mentioned that they have easy games week 16, week 18, week 17 they're at the Redskins, which actually I think might be winnable if the Redskins just like don't care about the game, because if the Eagles clinch playoff berth, the Redskins are probably just stuck in the 7th seed. If Dallas loses this week to Tampa, I think the Redskins are stuck in the 7th seed. So they just may not care about that game. So it's possible the Falcons could win the next 3. And I think Penix gives them a better chance, because like Cousins just looks dead. He looks like a dead player right now.
If Penix plays well, he doesn't have to be awesome. If he just plays decent and they win 3 games or 2 out of 3, Cousins is done. Like he'll never play another game for the Falcons. Like that's,
yeah. I agree with that, and I think that, like I said, I think the Atlanta skill players, you can't like be super confident, but at least I think I would be more confident now than I would have been if Cousins started another game. Yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you especially to John Sanders for the 411 super chat.
You're the man, John.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you so much, John, for your continued support. You and Sue have been the best here. So thank you so much. Last question, Kenny, should Walt get a haircut and shave for Christmas? I'm getting a haircut tomorrow. So there you go. You'll see me tomorrow with Andy, unless my barber has an emergency, can't do my hair tomorrow. I have an appointment tomorrow, so
you make an appointment? That's amazing.
No, it's not. No, not an appointment. I look. My mom used to be a hairdresser. She cuts my hair. It's not an official appointment. I was like, I called my mom. I was like, hey, mom, can you cut my hair on Thursday? She said yes. Okay, that was my appointment. So my mom's a hairdresser when she came to America in the 80s, so in the late 70s and 80s. So it's I've never paid for a haircut. She's always done it. So no, I will have a haircut tomorrow in all likelihood when I do my show with Andy. So we'll have Andy tomorrow night. We had a 3.5 hour show with Andy as well last week. Kenny, we spent a half an hour debating Jets Jaguars, and then we spent a half hour debating why the Redskins line was wrong. The Redskins at Saints line was wrong. He said it was right. Actually, I said it was wrong. So,
by the way, I have to make a note that Walter's mom is this like sweet woman, came to the United States from communism, from Russia in the 1980s, knows nothing about football, and yet she listens to the Walter Football podcast.
Yep.
Shout out.
Yeah. She listens. I don't know if she listens to like the whole show, but she starts. She said, actually, I'm not making this up. She's like, well, you and Kenny have such great chemistry. Like, I love your show's the best.
Your mom's the best. So
look, we've been friends since we were 17, like, right? So it's only natural.
It's so good.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see over under for Langford tomorrow night's show with Andy. Yeah, man. I could talk to Andy all night. When I visit Vegas to end the Super Contest, Andy and we sign up for the contest, then we eat breakfast or lunch, whatever time it is. Like, we'll be in the restaurant for like hours. We'll be in the restaurant for like 3 or 4 hours just talking about football. Like, we'll have like all the over unders, all the season win totals, all the Super Bowl odds, all the week 1 odds. We'll go through like every game. We're like, what do you think about this one? What do you think about this one? Like, we talk for like 4 hours, like when we meet for food. It's like almost time for another meal, like by the time we're out of there. I love it too. I love talking to Andy. I can talk to Andy forever. So I think over on there's 3 hours even. So take your bets. We'll see. But yeah, no, we're at 2:13 now, so it's not like it's short here. But no, I love doing the show with you, Kenny. It's great. Actually, I don't even know if you're going to be available next week because it's Christmas. But I guess.
Oh yeah, my wife might kill me. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Well, I'll be doing a show because my wife's asleep anyway at this time. So, all right, guys, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for merch store. Kenny, do you want to talk about the capsfake.com at all?
The Walt, the cap is fake, although not 100% fake, mostly fake. I gotta get a new domain. The cap is mostly fake.com. As Cassandra said, the Kirk Cousins situation might break me. Yes. There's been at least 5 articles that I started writing and never finished because I'm a slob. I'm a lazy slob. Sorry, guys. But
dude, you have 2 kids and a third on the way. It's and you have a job too.
So I'm gonna we'll see. I'm gonna try to get some stuff done. Yeah, check it out. If you've never read anything about the salary cap, I got a bunch of stuff. Hope it's helpful.
All right, guys. Yeah, definitely visit thecapsfake.com. And yeah, like I said, we'll be on tomorrow with Andy. Saturday, Quacky's not gonna be on. He's out of town for Christmas. So I will be on at least. I don't know if we're having a co-host that night, but I will be on at the very least. And then as far as next week, look, I'm gonna have a show on regular nights. I don't know if we're gonna have a co-host on any given night because of the holidays, but I will be on. As I said, everyone's asleep here, so there's no excuse.
You are the man of the people, Walt.
Exactly right. Yeah, we'll be the only show streaming live on Christmas Eve and Christmas night. So, all right, yeah. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow as usual, like 15-20 minutes after the Thursday night game's over. Is when we'll start streaming. It's usually like around midnight. So I'll talk to you then. And yeah, guys, have a great night, and I'll talk to you later.
You the man, Walt.
You the man.